from a low life, but now people call me the king. Tearing it up with every lyric that I bring to the table. Because I'm willing and able, I'm in more homes than Comcast cable. I got the skill that'll rattle your brain. I'm a threat like Saddam Hussein, everybody know my name. Joe Habib's a top soldier, kid they should have told you, you really need to pack a lunch. My words hit hard just like a Tyson punch, so give me a chance, I bet you I can make it dance. Show me your girl, I bet you I get in her pants. I'm breaking egos and money is what I'm stacking. Joe Habib on the mic, you know I'm down for action. Shout out to Make Beats Sir and the Beat Smith and the whole Rope-A-Dope radio crew. Yeah.
All right, well, I gotta be honest with you. I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. Eddie Hearn a couple days ago tweeted out that there were 3 possible opponents. Okay. But here's the thing. There are 3 possible opponents. There were 3 possible opponents, but there was an order in which those opponents were going to be on Joshua's schedule, right? And as I said, right, and I tweeted it out on New Year's Day, because I was 99.9% sure within a week this fight was going to be announced. And anyone who's been following the podcast, who's been following any stream that I've been on, who's been following me on social media, I was telling you that this fight was going to happen next. Oh, well, what about Hrgovic? Again, that Hrgovic fight makes a lot more sense with a title on the line. And we know that Fury and Usyk are fighting on February 17th. And we know that there's going to be 2 fights. And we also know that more than likely what's going to happen is that title is going to be vacated. Now, is that title going to be vacated on February 18th? No, there's usually a process. It takes roughly 3 weeks to a month before that process plays out. So then that brings us to March 18th, right? Where the title would more than likely, in my opinion, judging by history, will then be officially vacated, right? So that leaves Joshua with another fight for the summer with that title on the line. It makes no sense, or made no sense, for Joshua to fight Hrgovic next without a title on the line. And then shout out to Base the Kid. This is no disrespect, but he said, well, why can't they just fight for an interim title? Again, when was the last time you've seen the IBF have an interim heavyweight champion? I can't remember when. This isn't the WBC or the WBA, right? The WBO and the IBF tend to not really have interim champions, right? They have a different process, and they're basically a lot more consistent with their rules. And obviously there's politics in boxing, and there's politics within these sanctioning bodies. But when the IBF says they're going to do something and the WBO says they're going to do something, they more than likely do it, right? They more than likely do it. So people are skeptical about this fight, and we hear the phrase "bad for boxing," but who really defines, or who really has the right to say what's bad for boxing? And then I hear, well, boxing's in a bad place. Really? Is boxing really in a bad place? Let's just be honest. There has never been a time in boxing where I've been able to watch so many fights on so many different platforms before during the course of the week, most notably during the weekend, right? I can watch fights on DAZN. I can watch fights on ESPN. I can watch fights on ESPN Plus. I'm going to be able to watch fights on Amazon Prime. I can watch fights on Peacock, and I got some more huge news for you. And you heard it here first. People are talking about PBC only being on Amazon. That's not enough for the amount of fighters they have. That's not enough dates for the amount of fighters. Well, guess what? They're going to be announcing another broadcaster, and I'm hearing it's going to be Peacock, right? So they're going to get some more dates from another platform, right? How could you be unhappy about boxing right now if you are a boxing fan? Being able to watch fights in Japan, being able to watch fights in Australia, being able to watch fights in Saudi Arabia, being able to watch fights all over the UK, being able to watch fights in Ireland. We've never been able to watch these fights live before. And then the counter programming. Okay, I understand that. But again, if you have a device, which is like a tablet, and you have a smartphone, you have a television, you have a computer, you can watch all these fights at the same time if you want. You could basically simulcast them, right? So let's just be honest, right? We're going to get undisputed at heavyweight on February 17th. We've already been told that Bivol's signed to fight Better Beef if Better Beef beats Callum Smith, which I think he's going to do. So that's another undisputed fight at light heavyweight, right? And what I'm hearing is we're 99.9% sure we're going to get Benavidez versus Canelo. So that's 3 undisputed fights right there. And then we're going to get Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero. Now, you can argue that's not a great fight, but it's intriguing because both guys are not the most highly skilled fighters. Both guys can punch. Both guys are personalities. Both guys have a following to some degree. Raleigh's obviously doesn't have a huge following, but he knows how to promote fights. He knows how to put himself out there. His personality, I think, along with Ryan's during a press conference, during a buildup, I think that could be a pretty big fight. Now, would I have rather have seen Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney? Is that a more significant fight? Of course it is. But again, let's think about it. Would that have really been competitive? From an entertainment standpoint, from a promotional buildup standpoint, from an intrigue standpoint, right? That Romero fight makes more sense. And now that Davies lost last night, correct me if I'm wrong, he was the fight that was ordered for Raleigh. No one said if Ismael Barroso won, he would then become the mandatory. So now you have an interim champion, right? Now you have an interim champion. So again, I think that this fight between Raleigh and Ryan, if it does happen, which I think it more than likely will happen, is going to be for a title. So in this crazy world of vacant titles and interim champions or what have you, Ryan, if he wins, could possibly become, or would become, in my opinion, potentially a WBA junior welterweight champion, right? So this year in boxing is shaping up to be a very, very, very good year. So I don't understand what people are saying, what's good and what's bad for boxing. And here's another thing. Ngannou had momentum and has momentum after that Fury fight. There is an intrigue here. People want to see and they want to know if that was a fluke, if that was Tyson Fury just taking him lightly, or is Ngannou better than we thought? Or is it a combination of both, right? I think Anthony Joshua should beat Ngannou easily. I think, in my opinion, I think it goes the distance because Ngannou is a guy who's just hard. He's never even been stopped in MMA, right? The only fights he's ever lost have been by decision, right? And he's been in there with some heavy hitters. He's been in there with some heavy hitters, right? And he's been hit not only with punches from guys wearing 4-ounce gloves, but he's been elbowed, kicked, and what have you. And this guy has never been stopped, never been submitted. And he's got a thick neck. This guy has a real strong defensive construct. I think Joshua wins the fight. I know a lot of people are saying he'll probably knock Ngannou out, but I'm not so sure about that. We do know, or I at least believe, most of us will believe that Joshua is the harder hitter. But here's the thing. Joshua's not a great inside fighter. He's not really a physical guy. And if Ngannou tries to make it a physical fight and crowds AJ, will he have the space to land those shots? Again, this is an intriguing fight. Dan, what's going on, man? I mean, we may agree or disagree with some of these points, but I would still like to hear your opinion.
Hey, yeah, what's going on, man? What's going on? Hey, first things first, Happy New Year's to you, man. And your
Happy New
family.
Year's, Dan. Happy New Year's.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I agree to disagree, but first things first, am I not too loud or is it too
No, you're good.
low?
You're good.
Okay, cool, cool. Well, look, I could, I could somewhat understand why Josh was taking the fight because he's not a champion, so he's not obligated to really fight. Let's just say, the most dangerous contenders at the moment. I get that part, but you have to hold fighters to their words and to hold their feet to the fire based off what they say previously, right? And this is not too long ago when Joshua said this. His goal is to become three-time world champion. I'm pursuing a world title. Nothing else matters at that point. That's what he said prior to the Ottawa fight. Okay, and prior to that, Eddie Hearn, his whole promoter, was, excuse my language, shitting all over the Fury and Ngannou fight, like everybody was, and me included, shitting over it like it was a circus. It should never have taken place. But now all of a sudden they're partaking in the circus. They're taking this fight. What is the point of the fight? What bit does he gain for fighting Ngannou other than a big payday? Nothing else other than that. And I think they also try to build momentum on the fact that, yeah, you see, we just beat Wallin better than Fury did. So let's build on that and take on another Fury previous opponent, Francis Ngannou. If we could beat him far better than Fury did, then that would kind of put more pressure on people to make the Joshua Fury fight down the line. I guess that's what their plan is. But other than that, just speculation. I mean, other than that, I just don't see the benefit of this fight. And uh, like I said, it is intriguing just to see how Joshua would do because he is going up against a bigger man in size, size wise, not necessarily height, but size wise. And like to your point, the clinches, that's going to be interesting to see what happens if they get into the clinches because I don't think Joshua doesn't have the power or the muscle to go up against Ngannou in the inside in the pocket. I think that's dangerous for him. He's going to have to keep that fight long. That's the only way he's going to beat Ngannou. Keep the fight long, give him angles, and just don't stand in front of him and trade with him because I think that's, to me, even though Gano's a very novice fighter, but at the end of the day, he is very lethal in the clinches up close. You just can't give him, the ability to crowd you and pressure you. You just can't allow him to do it. So, with the right preparation and the right training methods, Joshua should be able to school the guy and box him from the outside, keep it long. Don't even try to go knock him out. I just think that you give him the only chance of winning the fight by doing so. But other than that, yeah, there's just no benefit of Joshua taking this fight because something could go wrong. And I just like to see, what I'm just a little upset about is that, not upset, what I'm a little disappointed is that they're the same energy from for the diehard Joshua fans. They're giving Joshua the pass for taking this type of fight, and yet they destroy Fury for taking it. Yeah, I understand Fury's the champion, but still, at the end of the day, you I don't know. I just don't see the benefit of this fight. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, but Dan,
Mhm.
context is key here.
Yeah,
Circumstances is key here. Based off
right.
what Ngannou did in the Fury fight, I thought he won the fight. I had him winning the
Yeah, I
fight.
agree.
I had him winning the fight by a point, and there's not a bigger Fury fan than me. So, based off of what happened and based off of circumstances, how can Joshua fight for a title in March when there's no titles available? Why not wait till the summertime when that IBF title will become vacant? And here's another thing. Well, why not fight Zhang? Once again, after those two undisputed fights, right?
Mhm.
I think all the titles are going to be vacated except for the WBC. I think when Tyson Fury wins, the only belts he's going to keep is the WBC and the ring. And both Usyk and Fury have pretty much indicated after their 2 fights together, they're going to retire anyways, Dan. So why not fight those fights with titles on the line instead of not having the titles on the line? So there's nobody in March that Joshua can fight to become a world champion because there's no belts available. And because of what Ngannou did against Fury, we want to know, and I'm going to speak for everybody, because if we're all being truthfully honest here, we want to know if it was Ngannou being better than we thought, or if it was just Fury taking him lightly, or not knowing what he was going to be in there with, and not understanding and anticipating this guy was going to be able to do what he was able to do, right? So we need to know that. And this fight is a monster. In my opinion, I will bet anyone this does at least $1 million or more in the UK, at least. And I would even venture to say, and this is probably a little bit of an aggressive prediction here, I think it could do 300,000 in the United States. So doing 1.3 million pay-per-view buys globally, right? That's a monster event. And I'm already seeing polls by people who have MMA Twitter accounts and YouTube channels. And I'm looking at them posting polls. And there's like people like 75% saying Ngannou's going to win. And then I'm looking even on boxing polls from boxing sites. And they're giving Ngannou 30% chance to win, right? And if you look at the odds in this fight, Joshua was a minus 500. He was a minus 2,500 when he fought Ruiz. Fury was a minus Fury was a minus 1,700 when he fought Ngannou. So again, Ngannou has been less of a favorite than Andrew Ruiz was, and a lot of other opponents that Joshua and Fury have fought. So this is the right fight at the right time. It's just a no-brainer. Because again, that WBO title is more than likely going to be vacated. So if you're going to fight Zhang, fight him for a title. If you're going to fight Hrgovic, fight him for a title. Make it worth something. So Joshua is going to become champion by the end of the year, in my opinion. I think he beats Hrgovic when they fight in the summertime, right? Okay. So he's going to be a 3-time heavyweight champion, and I think Zhang could possibly be elevated to full champion when Fury vacates the WBO title, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So again,
fair enough. So
this is a no-brainer to me, Dan. It's a no-brainer because it's a fight. If he fights, if Joshua boxes, like you said. We're both in agreement here. If we're in that corner and we're the trainer and we're preparing him for this fight, we are keeping this fight at long range as long as we can, right? And we are not trying to engage on the inside with this guy. And if we do that, we could win a Andy Ruiz type decision. Andrew Ruiz 2 type decision against Ngannou, because if you go back and look at even the Fury fight, when Fury started boxing him from the outside and using his jab more, he started having success. So you have to keep this guy on the outside because he's a danger when the range becomes close, right? So I think Joshua wins a comfortable decision. I think he makes a boatload of money, right? More so than he could make fighting any. He would make more, in my opinion, fighting Ngannou than he would fighting. Well, if Usyk beats Fury, and then they fight a third time, I would argue even this fight could possibly be even bigger than that. The only other fight out there for Joshua, in my opinion, that's bigger than this fight would be Fury.
Yeah.
So
Well,
this is a no-brainer. You got to keep busy, right, Dan? You want to fight in March. You want to keep that momentum going. So this is the best fight, Dan. I don't see any other better opponent, right?
okay. Okay. Well, let's put you say confidence is key, right? Well, first things first, I will say one thing. If Usyk and Joshua fight the third time, that fight's not going to go any different unless Usyk ages, if, like, at least he's 40 years old. That's my
I don't know
opinion.
about Dan.
I just
I'm
don't
gonna be
see
honest.
it.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Dan. I'm gonna be
Uh-huh.
honest with you, Dan.
Uh-huh.
I think Joshua could beat Usyk. I mean
Oh
that's.
man.
I'll
Well,
tell
he
you
had
why.
24 hours to do it. He had
I'll
24 hours to do it. He couldn't even do it. He was schooled and dominated both of those fights. So the only way he could do it unless Usyk gets old overnight or he takes
Well,
some
Dan,
serious damage from
let me
some
use an
serious
example
fights.
with you.
That's the only way.
Let me use
Yeah.
an let me use an example with you, right?
Uh-huh.
The second fight was competitive. You could even say it was
Hmm.
a 7-5, 8-4 type fight.
Yeah.
Some people had it a draw. Some people even had Joshua winning that fight. One of the judges
I
had
don't know
Joshua
how
winning
they
the
come
fight.
to that, but okay.
I had it 8-4 to Usyk. But
Right.
I thought that fight and those rounds were extremely competitive. This reminds me of Pacquiao Marquez, and I'll explain to you why, Dan. And
Right.
this is not to minimize Usyk and Usyk at all. Usyk and Pacquiao they share a similarity, in my opinion.
Right.
They're both
Hmm.
in and out ambush fighters who are mid-range guys, right?
Hmm.
And they
Hmm.
tend they even though Usyk I think is more talented than Pacquiao, in my opinion, and Usyk's good at changing levels. I get all that, but they're
Yeah.
pattern type fighters. They fight one way. Now, again, that's not to minimize what they do. That one way is exceptional, and most people cannot deal
Yeah.
with that style, right? But the more you fight a guy who fights one way and is a pattern type fighter, if you notice,
Hmm.
the more Marquez fought Pacquiao, the more success he had each time he fought him. So the first fight,
Right.
I thought Pacquiao won because of the knockdowns, and I thought he won enough rounds to get him the decision. And if they,
Right. We all agree with that.
and if the judge who had it who scored one of those rounds incorrectly, he said if he scored it the way he should have scored it, Pacquiao would have won that fight. Now the second fight was a fight that could have gone either way, right?
Right.
So Marquez got better, right? In the
Hmm.
third fight, I thought Marquez clearly beat Pacquiao. I had it
Yeah.
8-4. So again, the more Joshua fights Usyk, I think the better he'll be because again, Usyk is that ambush in and out pattern fighter, right?
Yeah.
And I think now again, Usyk should be favored, and your opinion is going to be the most popular opinion. But I do think it's not impossible for Joshua to beat Usyk because Joshua is much younger than Usyk, right? He's a couple years younger than Usyk. Usyk is going to get older. He's by the time
Well, that's my
if they
point.
were
Hmm. Yeah.
Usyk's going to
That's
turn. He's turning 37 in February,
all
right?
right.
Joshua's 33, right? Now
Hmm.
Joshua's probably not going to get tons better, but he'll probably retain a lot of what he already has, more so than Usyk, right? So
Yeah, yeah. And I was going to say though, yeah, at this stage, no, he's not beating Usyk unless that's what I'm saying. The only way he will have a chance to beat him in a third fight if you could give another 2 years or so that Usyk really slows down. He doesn't have much of his legs and his mobility. Then he'll be more standard, stationary target. So yeah, he'll have a better chance of beating him then. But at this point, no, I just don't see it going off the last two fights. But other than that, I will also add point to contention here is that yeah, the whole point of fighting Ngannou is to stay active, to stay busy. Then why not fight Edge? Why? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what has Ngannou done to deserve the fight against Anthony Joshua, other than having that, in my opinion, that close controversial fight with Tyson Fury, which I thought he won as well. I mean,
Dan,
Caballero was
Dan,
available. Frank
Dan,
Sanchez is available. I'm just saying those guys won their fights. Sanchez has been winning that fight for Joshua. He called him
Dan,
out. So I mean,
Dan,
Shane deserved to fight, so why not those guys?
Dan.
Uh-huh.
Do you really think Joshua versus Ajit Kabayal is more intriguing than Joshua versus Ngannou? Honestly, you
Well,
really
it's not
believe
about the
that?
intrigue. It's not about the intrigue. It's about
Of
who's
course it's the intrigue. Of course, it's the
Okay,
intrigue.
hold on. Let's go back here. What's this whole? What happened to the idea that Joshua could fight what you call a traveler, for example, and he'll sell out the arena and he'll do pay-per-view buys. What happened to that? Why is all now is all about getting the biggest payday and the more just intriguing opponent out there? I mean,
Because
especially a guy who has a
because
guy who doesn't have an amateur.
no
Mhm,
matter what anybody says, boxer,
mhm.
promoter, manager, or fan, the name of the game is being the biggest fights possible to make the most money. We can have this romanticized view of how things are supposed to be, how they
Right.
should be, just like you have politicians who go into office and have average incomes and then they become millionaires afterwards because they can trade this they can trade on the stock market. They can inside trade. They're making policies that are, like, again, we're living in the world that we think we should have, as opposed to the world
Yeah.
that we have, Dan. So
Yeah.
what has Ngannou done? I'll state it quite simply. What he's done, he's arguably beat the consensus number one heavyweight in the world and knocked him down in the process. That's number one. Number
Yeah. Any
two,
other reason? Hmm.
number two. Well, that's enough on its. That's enough. That's enough right there.
Well,
But
I
I'm
will
gonna
say
add.
this,
But
brother.
I'm gonna add more to it. I'm gonna
All
add more
right.
to it. This
Go ahead.
guy. This guy has a huge following now. But go look
I
at.
don't
Go
know
look
about
at it.
that because those pay-per-view
Well,
numbers didn't say otherwise. It didn't say
well,
otherwise in that Fury fight. I'm just telling you, man.
well.
And another thing
Again,
I will add, though, let me say this real quickly. Let me add this. How is this more intriguing than Joshua fighting Julie J or Frank Sanchez?
I've
How is that
already.
more intriguing
Well,
than those two fights?
Frank Sanchez is that shouldn't even be brought to the table. That's that.
Okay, Julie Zhang. Julie Zhang. What about him?
I've already explained the Zilly Zhang situation. Zilly Zhang is the interim champion, right?
Right.
So I've told you those belts, more than just the IBF belt, is going to be vacated after the two Usyk fights. So
Right.
why not fight Zhang in a unification? IBF champion versus WBO champion. It's a
Go
bigger,
ahead.
it adds significance and it makes the fight bigger. Zhang's
Yeah,
coming off
that's.
of Zhang's coming
Mhm,
off of an injury, right?
mhm.
Why not have Zhang be on the undercard and fight Wilder or fight
Well, that's my.
Parker
I
or
was
fight
going to get to
Parker?
that.
And then you
I
build
was,
it. And then you build
uh-huh,
Dan, let me ask Dan, all the things you're
uh-huh,
saying right now,
uh-huh,
and you have a right to say them, you have a right to your opinion. But let me ask you this.
uh-huh.
I know I'm going to use a word that Steve Kim uses a lot, fanager, right?
Yeah,
We
go
have to
ahead.
be, but if we follow the sport long enough and we know how it works, we all are fanagers to it. Like if you're a promoter, a manager, and you're involved with Joshua, or even if you're involved with Zhang, or even if you're involved with Ngannou, the best possible scenario is, because Zhang's not even really talking about fighting Joshua right now. He'd rather fight Wilder right now.
He's been calling out Joshua for months.
Not
Over a
really.
year now.
Not
I mean,
not
not really. Come
really.
on,
Not
man.
really. Because
He's
Zhang
been.
is smart. No, 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 no. Zhang is smart. He's smart. I listened to an interview with Zhang yesterday, and
Yeah.
he says it doesn't. It makes more sense for me to fight Joshua later, not now, because he knows the fight will be bigger when there's titles on the line. Dan, they're not stupid.
Yeah,
These
that's if
guys.
Joshua could get through it. Yeah, that's if Joshua could get through
So
it. I'm just
this,
saying.
so if you're a manager, even as a
Yeah.
fan, Dan, let's take it. Let's just be 100% objective here. Would you rather see Joshua fight Zhang in a unification fight, IBF champion versus WBO champion? Would that be a more intriguing, bigger, better fight? Would the fight be bigger then than it would be if they fought in March?
Well, from a strategic standpoint, yes. But the biggest problem, and I've said this for years now, for years, this whole marination process in the heavyweight division does not work. And let me tell you why. Because in this division, it's so unpredictable historically. One punch can change it all in certain fights before you get to that point. That's number one. Number two, you don't have this is not a division where you can move up and down in weight and select certain fighters like you can do in the lower weights and then move back up to that weight to fight that particular fighter like Floyd did for several years and Pacquiao did. Okay, so that's why they were able to get away with the marination process. And number three, the reason why this is a failure, because we see what happened with the Joshua and Wilder situation going back to 2017, 2018. We saw what happened to that. Look, they were trying to do the same scheme with the Mayweather Pacquiao marination process. Look what happened. It ultimately failed. So now I can go further back to say, well, look what happened with the Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield situation. They were doing the marination process in the late 80s, lead up to the potential fight in 1990. Look what happened. Mike Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas. And then they prolonged the fight a year later, and then Mike Tyson got busted and went to prison. So now we didn't get that fight till like what, 9 years to that after the fact. So that's my only concern about this is that if you're going to play this marination process, it's going to fall flat because it's not designed for the heavyweight division. I'm just being honest. It's historically has failed in the heavyweight division over the years. It has. Not saying we never got the fights then, but it just to me, it's like those fights doesn't have that much luster that it did when those guys were undefeated in their prime, when they were champions. It doesn't. So
Dan,
that's my only concern.
Dan, with
Yes.
all the respect, those examples that you stated were outliers. Again, but I'll tell you this: I thought you can go back and I can show you people. I picked Holyfield to beat Tyson when he was a 25-1 underdog. I picked Holyfield.
Mm-hmm.
But again,
Right.
all those examples that you gave were exceptions to the rule, and they were outliers. But there's always the chance that what you just said could happen. But let's be honest, Dan. This is a very, very smart, calculated risk, in my opinion, because Joshua, Fury looked horrible, and he still eked out the fight. Joshua he's gonna know what he's up against. He's gonna be much better prepared, and Joshua can be a disciplined fighter. And people can say what they want about Joshua, right? Like, oh well, he's hesitant, he's this, he's that. Even with that hesitant style,
he's very disciplined. Yeah, he's very disciplined.
That hesitant style still beats 9 out of 10 heavyweights. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can criticize how the style, but that's still good enough to win.
Yeah.
So this may not be a barn burner of a fight, because I don't think Joshua's going to throw all caution into the win against this guy. I just don't. So I know people are saying, well, he'll win, he'll get a knockout, he can punch harder than Fury, blah, 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 blah. But again, there's nuances to it. Like, Joshua's not a physical guy. He's not a great inside fighter. And he needs space. And if that space is taken away from him and this fight does become physical, Ngannou can...
He's going to get manhandled. He's going to manhandle. Ngannou's going to manhandle.
Joshua could have situations here where he's going to have to fight for space. And I'm not saying he won't be able to get that space that he wants in this fight, but he's going to have to constantly work for it. Right?
Yeah. So
I mean, Joshua can knock anybody out. He's got power in both hands. I understand that. But again, it's going to be hard, I think, to knock this guy out, because this guy's got a neck the size of a tree trunk. This guy is a strong. This guy is a specimen, bro. This guy is hard to incapacitate.
Well, it's not just that. It's just hard to get his respect, because this man can take a shot from anybody. I remember this guy was taking big shots from zero gun and with 4-ounce gloves on. It's like this dude was just shaking them off like it's nothing.
This guy this guy was elbowed in the head. The head, and did not blink against Tyson Fury. He was elbowed in the head, and the elbow was coming down with leverage, and he did not blink.
He didn't even
I know.
complain. He didn't even
I
complain to
think
the referee, Dan. He didn't even
I
complain
think
to
you
the
know what? I think
referee.
in that instance, I think Fury knew that he was like, "Oh fuck, what have I got myself into? This guy's not respecting me." Yeah, that's why Fury ran the last 4 rounds of that fight because he didn't want no part of the exchanges with him. He knew what was up there. It's like, oh my
Listen,
god! I was like, he didn't know. He's like, what am I up against here? This guy, everything I'm throwing at him is just like it's nothing to him.
I'm the president of
So,
the I'm the president of the Fury-Maniacs. I
mhm,
participate in weekly meetings with the staff. And
yeah.
I thought he lost the fight, man. I thought he
Yeah,
lost
I
the
thought so too. I thought he lost too. And I
I'm gonna
think
be
Fury and his
honest.
camp knew. I think they knew they lost the fight. They just that's why they didn't want to hold the presser after that because they knew how embarrassing that
There's no
situation is.
question.
But
There's no
yeah,
question that that fight was an embarrassment for Fury. There's no
it
question about
was.
it.
And you know
Um,
what? Between you and I think that he is still. You know what I'm hearing. He's still having dealing with some psychological effects from that fight going into the Usyk fight. I'm hearing he's still dealing with that. So let's just hope he
well,
can shake it off. Let's hope he
well,
can going into the February.
that could be a plus if you think about it, because that is a motivating factor to know. There always has to be, in my opinion, anything in life, um, some type of fear.
Yeah.
Now, I don't mean an emasculating fear or a cowardice type fear, but it's like anything. If you're in a relationship with a woman, right, and you have no fear of losing her, you're going to do
Yeah.
whatever you want to do because you know that that girl's going to always be there, right? So you're not going to treat her the best all the time because you know if you don't treat her the best, she's going to still stick around because you have no fear of losing her. If you are
Yeah.
in a job where you say to yourself, I can come in whenever I want, I can do whatever I want, I'm not going to get fired, right? You're not going to put out the best effort. It's just like when there's no fear of losing, right? In anything you do, complacency sets in, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I got to go by history, right? And I've fallen victim to recency bias just like everybody else. I'm a human being. I did it with Tio. I said Tio will never become world champion again. What's he do? He goes out there and beats the number one guy in dominating
Yep.
fashion. And I said, you know what? I said to myself, you know what? I got to stop doing this, man. I got to stop looking for I got to start looking for patterns of behavior, right? Now Fury, he had that fight with Wallen. He had that horrible cut. And I remember people were saying, he's taking this fight with Wilder too quick. He's not going to be ready. That cut's not fully healed. Wilder's going to bust him open again. And everyone was saying he was going to lose that fight,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I was actually one of the few who said no. I beg to differ. I think that's a
Right.
totally different style matchup for Wilder, and I
You and
said,
I,
well,
is it safe to say, Dan, that in that particular instance, you and I were in the minority on that?
well, let's just say this. Yeah, I say I was,
Right.
and people
And
call me
what
crazy, and I say
happened?
that like, yeah,
And what
and I'm a
and what
Wilder fan. You
happened?
look at me. Yeah,
And what happened then? He
we saw what
decimated.
happened.
He
He
decimated him.
says,
And let's go to the third fight where Fury got knocked down a couple times and didn't look great, right? And
mhm.
then he goes and fights Dillian White. And I had people telling me, "Oh, Dillian White beat him up in sparring. This is a
Oh
hard, you
yeah,
know." I heard all these. I had people coming on there telling me Dillian White was going to knock him out. What's he do? He
yeah.
destroys him in
I
4 rounds.
remember those conversations. I was like, well, first of all, Dillian doesn't have the foot speed or the range like Wilder does. That's number one.
Okay,
Number two,
so
and number
so here
two, Dillian's
so
punch resistance is totally gone. So how is he going to withstand those punches that Fury's going to land on him? That's
now
another thing.
now the argument that the Fury detractors have is, and this is a fair argument. I'm not dismissing it. I'm not disregarding it. The argument's going to be, well, how often can Fury go to the well? So many times. But
Yeah,
I have to be honest with you. You and I
yeah,
both have seen him. You and I have seen him come off of poor, less than stellar performances, and in the very next fight, put on
yeah.
a,
great performances, phenomenal performances, right? So
Yeah.
I understand the argument. Oh, maybe Fury doesn't want it anymore. Maybe he got old overnight. Is his legs
Yeah.
gone? I don't know, man.
Nah.
Is his legs gone? I don't know about that.
I think his legs. Well, I'm not going to say his legs are totally gone. It's just not what they used to be because one, he's blown up in weight in between fights, which is very detrimental. That's number one. Number two, he's putting all this unnecessary junk in his system, drinking alcohol, eating too much junk food, not staying healthy. And number three, dealing with all those injuries. Throughout the course of his career. Number four, I'm hearing he's been taking a lot of tough sparring because also you pick up injuries, you slow down from that too, particularly from the Jared Anderson situation, which a lot of people like to deny. So those are the things that's going to catch up to you. And now, going into this Usyk fight, like doing a fat camp, not only trying to, that doesn't give you enough time to prepare for the style of Usyk. Yeah, you could bring in Jay Alcantara, you could bring in Moses Atama, but those guys don't have the style of Usyk. They're just not as talented as he is. So yeah, it's good. It's good sparring to get those guys in. But at the end of the day, I just think that just having this fan camp and trying to get prepared within 2 months space after the Ngannou fight and beating, as I call it, semi-beating, is just, to me, I just don't think Fury's going to be fully prepared as you would hope he would be. And I just also think that he really never truly won this fight. Yes, we're a different opinion on that, but he truly never won that Usyk fight. And he just had to take it because one is public pressure. Number two, they gave him too much money that he couldn't refuse to turn down. So that's my opinion on it. But one thing I want to say, I just want to add. There's a comment in here by Gorguroga. Shout out to him. He said that Ngannou has said that he studied Fury's style for years. Don't think he studied Joshua the same way. You know what? That's a good point. But I really kind of somewhat beg to differ on that because Ngannou said that he been wanted to fight Joshua Wilder in theory for years. So that to me, that's an indication that he studied all three of these guys. He knows what they can do. So I wouldn't be too quick to assume that he didn't study Joshua. He's been wanting that fight for a long while too. So yeah. But yeah, going back to Fury. Then, like I said, we'll see how this plays out, man. We'll see going into February if the fight comes off in February.
If Fury steps on that scale on February 16th and he weighs 265 pounds or less, and there's a lot less jiggle on him than you normally see. There's always going to be some jiggle, but if there's a lot less jiggle than what we normally see, what would your opinion be? Will you be saying to yourself, Fury could eke this one. Fury could get this one. Let me ask you a question. We're gonna play the. I'll let you answer that, but this is gonna be a 2-part question. So I'll let you answer that one, but I'm gonna add a layer to it. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you that. What would your thoughts be if you see that? That's number one, and number two, I'm gonna add in. What are the percentage like? So how, from a percentage standpoint, how sure of you Usyk wins this fight? Like, are you 70% sure? You 80% sure? You're 90% sure? Is this a 70-30 fight to you, 60-40 or a 55-45? How would you sum up this fight from a percentage standpoint? Who wins?
As it stands, I would say 70-30. But getting closer to the fight. Wow. And I'm going to tell you why. Let me tell you why. As the reason why I say this is because,
and you've been consistent. You were saying this before the Ngannou fight. So I respect what you're saying right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been saying this for a while now because of the factors I've laid out. Is that the reason why Fury's been very avoidant about this fight for a couple of years now? Is because of the fact, and I also want to add another layer to this. We saw the Steve Cunningham fight. Yes, Steve Cunningham, and I love USS Cunningham. I spoke to him a couple of times. He's a great guy. But he doesn't have the talent and the skills of Alexander Usyk. He himself, in that fight with Fury, was giving him so much trouble. Fury had a difficult time finding the target. And that was a much pressure for Tyson Fury, who was much pressure in the legs, he was better conditioned under Peter Fury at the time. So if that version of Fury gave that version of Tyson Fury had a lot of trouble with Steve Cunningham, imagine what Usyk is going to do, because Usyk is the one that's a southpaw, and number two, what Fury's Achilles heels is not only the short guys with faster feet and faster angles, It's just that he gets hit with left hands every single time. Why do you think Francis Ngannou was switching southpaw throughout that fight? Because every time Ngannou threw the left hand, Fury, he just couldn't really miss. Fury just can't find a way to defend that shot. And I've been saying this for years. His Achilles heels are foot speed, angles and left hands. He cannot find a way to defend those at all. He like Wale was hitting him with left hands repeatedly in their fight, even though he did beat Ali Wale. He just can't find a way to defend that shot, particularly left hooks. That's his Achilles heel. And the thing is, if Fury comes to try to charge in against Alexander Usyk like he's done, like Wilder, like he's done Chisora in the third fight, just charge in and swarm them, he's going to get hit with counters, and he's going to be falling off all over the place. He'll be falling over his feet when he's trying to plan his combinations. He's going to tire himself out trying to land these big bombs on Usyk. That's what's going to happen. And Usyk has been anticipating this. He's been studying this guy for years. And the problem is that Fury hasn't had enough time studying this guy. And that's why he's been very avoidant, very reluctant to fight him over the years. So I see as of now a 70-30 chance that Tyson Fury wins this fight. Now, depending, like to your point, going into to the weight scale, see how Fury looks, maybe my odds will change a little bit. So if he comes in around 270 or 280 mark, or even to the high 260s, no, he's not winning that fight. No way he's winning that fight, because the way to beat Usyk,
265 is not a good weight for him, Dan. 265 is not a good weight.
Maybe 265, but if you're pushing over 260s, 265, then that's a problem.
So I said 265 or under, I think is a good weight.
Yeah,
I don't know.
265 under will probably be okay, but the problem is that with Alexander Usyk, the only way to beat him is to keep up with his pace. And so far, not all the heavyweights, including Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois, are unsuccessful doing that. Why do you think they trimmed weight for those fights? Because they knew that if they came in heavy, they were not going to beat this guy in the early rounds. They knew it. So they had to reserve their cardio and the conditioning endurance to keep up with him, to even have a shot at beating him. So Fury's going to have to do the same thing. If he, like I said, I predict he's going to come in around maybe 269 or maybe 270. And if he does, then that's it. He's not winning that fight. The only chance he's got to win that fight is try to get an early stoppage. That's it. He won't have the fitness. He won't have the cardio. He certainly won't have the leg speed to keep up with Usyk. He won't have it. That's just the way I see it.
Okay, Dan. I'm going to give you my breakdown. Because we've seen Usyk fight the same way. And again, that's not to diminish what he does. He's great at what he does, but he fights the same way pretty much every fight. And again, obviously there's nuances to what he does. He changes levels. Yeah. Sometimes he comes in at different angles, but he is an in and out ambush guy, likes to set up shop in the mid-range. We've seen in the Breedis fight, he got hurt a few times, and Breedis had success when he got inside. And Breedis is not the quickest guy in the world, right?
Did Breedis really hurt him? I didn't see that. I mean, he hit him some good shots, but I don't think he hurt him.
He buzzed him a few times, I thought. At least I had.
I thought he shot him a couple times.
I'm not saying he staggered him. I'm not saying he staggered him or he made him his knees buckle, but he buzzed him a few times. He made him have to reset, and I've seen him take seen him take a few deep gasps in that fight, right?
Right.
So we know he doesn't like a physical inside fight. We already know that, right? Yeah. We've also seen him against Chisora, which I had him winning that fight 7-5. Some people disagree with me. I thought he eked that fight out. I thought he lost the first 5 rounds of that fight. I thought Chisora made it uncomfortable because he basically mauled him on the inside, did a lot of clinch fighting, which is a tactic that Fury does very well. That's number 2. I also seen Tony Bellew, before he got stopped, was up in that fight, right? Because he was boxing him well from a distance, and he was actually walking him into the right hand. So again, Usyk moves a lot, but because he's an ambush guy, you don't have to chase him. He's going to come to you. So you can time him coming in. You don't have to chase him. He's going to be there for you. And because he's going to be giving up a 7-inch reach advantage, his mid-range, honestly, will be Tyson Fury's short range and long range because he's going to have to get in deeper, right? Fury can hit him Fury's. Let me correct what I just said. Fury's mid range will be Usyk's long range, because again, he's gonna have to go deeper in the pocket to get close to Fury. And Fury, because he's such a good clinch fighter, he has such long arms. When Usyk's trying to come in and get close, he can actually reach out and grab him and pull him in.
That's if he can, because we're dealing with a cat here. That's why they call him a cat.
Again,
Yeah, it's gonna be very difficult.
Joshua was able, and again, let's go to the Joshua fight. Joshua was lining him up with the right hand too from the outside, right? So Fury has won. We've seen Fury win in multiple ways. We've seen him be that aggressive guy. We've seen him be that counter puncher. We've seen him be that clinch fighter on the inside. We've seen him be the guy who sticks and moves from the outside and throws the feints. So you don't know which Fury you're going to get. And when you saw him in the Dillian White fight, you saw a combination of all three, right?
Yeah.
Usyk is going to be the ambush guy. He's going to be in and out. And he's going to try to get in the mid-range. But his mid-range, again, he's going to have to get closer to get past that jab. Fury's going to be able to touch him. He's got a 7-inch reach advantage. And when Fury is committed to that jab, he is on point. Oh, he just throws a pawing flick jab. Yeah, that's part of it. But he also mixes in a hard jab at times. And that flick jab is kind of a diversion. And it's just trying to get you used to that softer jab. And then while you're getting used to that softer jab and you're reacting to the speed of that jab, he steps in with the hard jab. We've seen him do that.
Yeah.
So the problem
Mm-hmm.
Usyk is going to have in this fight is, I think Fury can beat him from the outside. I think Fury can beat him up close.
Okay.
The only success Usyk is going to have in this fight is in the mid range, and I just think Fury's going to take that away from him. Now, here's the problem: Ngannou is a guy who's pretty successful at all three ranges, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Whereas Usyk is a mid-range guy. And you're trying to say that he's one-dimensional. No, I mean that's the style. That's his style of fighting. Muhammad Ali was great, but he was an outboxer. He was not a mid-range or inside guy, right? That's why he had such problems with Frazier and Norton. He had a harder time with Frazier and Norton than he did against Foreman. So
Foreman blew those guys away.
So we want to play combat math. I'm gonna be honest. Fury is not gonna have to chase this guy. This guy's gonna come to him. Fury is a better counterpuncher than Usyk. Fury is a better inside fighter than Usyk. And I think he's a better outside fighter than Usyk, because I've seen Joshua and Tony Bellew have success on the outside, right?
Let me just say this.
I think Fury hits harder than Usyk. So I just think because Fury is more versatile and has more ways to win and can switch things up, I think Usyk's gonna lose this fight.
Well, let me just say this. One thing I beg to differ on. One, Fury's not gonna. If you're implying that Fury can win this fight by simply staying outside and outboxing Usyk, that's not gonna happen. No heavyweight's gonna outbox Alexander Usyk. So let's clear this out the way. Number two, I do agree
I disagree with that. I've seen him being outboxed. He was losing the Bellew fight before he knocked out Bellew.
Well, that's Tony Bellew. That's a shorter guy. That's a faster guy. So we're comparing apples and oranges. Wait, hold on. We're comparing apples and oranges. And number two, Bellew is faster. He has faster hands than Fury. That's a fact.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't have faster
hands. Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Maybe faster feet. I think Fury's hand speed is severely underrated here.
Oh no, I'm not saying he doesn't have good hand speed. What I'm saying is, as a heavyweight.
Let's let Fight Doctor jump in, because this guy's an intelligent individual. Let's see what he says.
Before Fight Doctor jump in, can I just say one thing? Go ahead, real quickly. Pugilist in the chat said that Usyk offers nothing that Fury can for Fury to retreat. I wouldn't be so sure about that, because we all said this, and many people said the same thing about the Joshua fights, going back to the first fight. We all said that, I was included too at that point after the Chisora fight. I felt that Usyk didn't really offer anything to bother Anthony Joshua. We saw the end result of that first fight and the second fight. So, yeah, let's not jump to that conclusion because Usyk has been fighting big, tall heavyweights for years.
Dan,
He's been doing it. He's doing it. He's been doing it since the WSB, the World Series of Boxing. He's been doing that for years.
All right, Dan.
So he knows what he is. But go ahead.
Before we go to Fight Doctor, I'm going to ask you 2 quick questions.
Yes.
Who's a better counterpuncher, Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua, in your opinion?
That's a good question. If I could, well, I would say if it was the 2013 or 2012 version of Tyson Fury, I would say Fury. But now, no, I wouldn't give it to Anthony Joshua at the moment.
Let's hypothesize both guys at their best. Who's the better counterpuncher? Because we have to assume that even though this may not be the case, let's just assume everyone's at their best when we answer these questions. Who's a better counterpuncher, Fury or Joshua?
Right now, I'll say Anthony Joshua because Fury's counterpunching ability has really fell flat over the years. Like I said, the conditioning is not the same. He's abused his body, the injuries, blowing up in between weights. That's all going to catch up to you. It's going to diminish some of your abilities. So I just think at this moment, his counterpunching ability is just not there anymore. I'm just being honest.
Didn't he knock out Dillian White?
Yeah, Dillian White
on a counterpunch uppercut.
No, I don't. I wouldn't call that a counterpunch. That was more of a
Dillian White came in and was getting ready
to throw a punch.
Getting ready to throw a left hook. And what did Fury do? He countered with an uppercut.
Well, wait, hold on. Did Dillian even throw the left hook? Because he didn't even throw it. He was trying to come in and then Fury threw the uppercut right away. Before
he could uncork it, he got caught with a counterpunch. Just like Pacquiao was getting ready to throw his left hand, and before he could extend it, he got caught with a counter right hand. So again, that was a counterpunch in my opinion. Who's a better inside fighter, Josh? Who's a better inside fighter, Joshua or Fury?
Oh, definitely Fury all day. Fury can definitely mix it up in the inside. We all know this.
Who has quicker hands, Fury or Joshua?
Right now, I'll say Fury. Slightly.
Okay.
Slightly.
So you're making a comparison and saying what Usyk did to Joshua, but you arguably just gave 3 categories that Fury is better than Joshua at. So this is something that Usyk's gonna be dealing with Fury that he didn't have to deal with Joshua. All right, let's let Fight Doctor. Let's let Fight Doctor.
Yeah. Shout out to Fight Doctor.
Yo, shout out to Dan the Man. Shout out to B. Fight Doctor is in the house on Rick James status as always. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, yo.
Good morning, Fight Doctor.
So I think all we need to know about who is going to win this fight, I think it comes down to 2 things. One is first, which Fury is going to show up. If it's the fat, lazy, coked out, uninterested Fury, then I think Usyk is a good bet. But if it's the motivated, take no prisoners, down to business Fury that we saw in the rematch with Deontay Wilder, I think that guy steamrolls Usyk. Now, all we need to do is look at the fight with Chisora and the fight with Tony Bellew. Now, mind you, Bellew and Chisora were both past it. Okay, in fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Usyk fight was Bellew's last appearance in the ring.
It was.
Yeah, and
well, can I say something, Fight Doctor, real quickly? To be fair, this was the same Tony Bellew was coming off 2 wins against David Haye and went over BJ Flores, who was a cruiserweight champion. So I disagree there. I don't think Tony Bellew was past that point. But he was 4 years younger. Well,
he
admitted that if he fought David Haye 5 years prior, he would have gotten knocked out.
Right. So we need to put those fights into context. Now, David Haye was coming off the surgery to his Achilles, and he also had been out for some years because of the shoulder. So this was not
Well,
the
to be
same
fair,
David Haye.
yeah, I get that,
Right.
but
So
David Haye was a favorite to win those fights. He was well, I'm not sure about the second fight, but
okay,
the
but
first fight he was a heavy favorite to win.
Dan, I understand that, but the betting public often proves itself to be,
let me just jump in real quick, Fight Doctor. I apologize.
Yeah, no
I
worries.
guess I guess what Fight Doctor and I are trying to say is the Usyk fans act like this guy's invulnerable and hasn't shown any vulnerability in his career. And
he has some vulnerabilities, absolutely.
We're pointing out clear instances where he did show vulnerability against lesser fighters. Go ahead, Fight Doctor. I apologize.
Let's start with the Bellew.
The last Fury. So there you go.
Let's start with the Bellew fight. Now, Bellew this was his last appearance in the ring. And let's not read too much into the David Haye victories because, again, this was not the same David Haye. This is the David Haye was coming off the Achilles heel tendon rupture and the long layoff due to the shoulder problems. So, by the time Bellew got his hands on David Haye was no longer David Haye. He was someone else, right? So now let's focus on the fight between Bellew and Usyk. I saw Usyk essentially have no answer for the Bellew right hand. Bellew was landing clean right hands all night. Now, mind you, this is a past it Tony Bellew, past his sell-by date. Okay, and he was really not. And I want to say, at the time of the stoppage, one of the judges had the fight even, or even possibly had Tony Bellew up on the cards.
Tony Bellew was up on one card was even.
Yeah. Okay, so had that fight gone 12, who knows what would have happened?
Yeah, would have, could have, should have. But we all saw what Usyk did. He adjusted. What happened was he stepped on the
let him burn, Dan. Yeah. Dan, let him burn.
Right. So
I
understand that Usyk won this fight by knockout, but I have to raise the question: what if this fight would have happened 5 years prior? What then? Now let's fast forward to the Derek Chisora fight, and again, in the Derek Chisora fight, I had Chisora up after the first 6 rounds. And I thought Derek Chisora was handily beating Usyk. Okay? Had Chisora been 5 years younger, I think he would have beaten Usyk. So here we have 2 lesser fighters who showed a lot of resilience and offered a lot of problems to Usyk that, he just didn't seem to have an answer for, And then look, let's go back and look at the rematch between him and Joshua. The first fight was a wash, I thought. I thought that Usyk handily beat Joshua in the first fight. Second fight, a lot closer. I thought that Joshua was able to bring some aggression and also incorporate more of the right hand and gave Usyk some problems. And again, this is a diminished Anthony Joshua. So while I don't rule out an Usyk victory, I just think that, I just think that this fight is, it comes down to which Fury shows up. I mean, how old is Usyk now?
37.
He's gonna be 37 in February. And this is a guy. Both fighters have already talked about retirement. So after these,
Fury's gonna be 36. So they're not that far apart. Go ahead.
Fury's not. He's not going to be 36. His birthday's in October.
Yeah, he's born 1988, but he'll be 36 this year. That's what I'm saying.
No, but Fury, but what's his name? Usyk's going to be 37 in 6 weeks.
That's fine, but they're not that far apart.
Fury's gonna be 36 in another year, almost.
This year, bro. This year.
Yeah, in about 10 months, Dan.
So but he's going to be 36 this year.
Usyk is almost 2 years older than Fury. He's a year and 10 months older than Fury. Go ahead, fight dog.
Yeah. So while I don't totally discount Usyk from winning, because again, I think that to be honest with you, I think Fury is probably ripe for the picking. I just question if Usyk is the man to do it. Again, I think this fight comes down to which Fury shows up to the fight.
Yeah.
If motivated, in shape, ready to go. If the guy from the Wilder rematch shows up, then I don't think there's a whole lot Usyk can do to win the fight.
Okay. Can I respond to that real quickly before Billy gets in?
Let me say one thing. Let me say one thing before you go, Dan, and then we're gonna let Drew jump in. I don't want to make him wait too long.
No problem.
If the Fury that showed up to the Dillian White fight shows up, I think he beats Usyk clearly as well. I mean, people forget that was a 4-round demolition.
Yeah, fair enough. But let me just say this before Drew gets in. Shout out to Drew. But this is one thing you guys continue to dismiss about Alexander Usyk that I have yet to hear. What I've yet to hear is that in those fights, yes, he had trouble against Bellew and Chisora early in the fights. But what did he do to win those fights? He adapted. He changed strategies. He adapts himself in between rounds. When he does that, he's so unpredictable. Those guys can't figure out what to do next. So that's what you guys are missing out.
Fury adapts.
Wait. Who adapts better?
Fury adapts more. Fury adapts more because he can win counterpunching. He can win.
Yeah, he didn't do that with
Ngannou. He can win boxing on the outside. He can win clinch fighting and mauling you. He can win different ways. Usyk wins by being the ambush. He fights the one way and he makes subtle adjustments.
No, he does not fight one man.
He is an ambush mid-range fighter, Dan. He's not an inside fighter and he's not an outboxer.
Let's see what Fury could do. Let's see what Fury could do if Usyk decides to loop those left hands at a different angle. Let's see what he does in that situation. Right. Will he be able to ball him then? We'll see.
He's going to have to get close. He's going to have to get close to do that, and then Fury's going to reach out and grab him and maul him. Go ahead, Drew.
Yeah, let's see if he has cardio to keep up. But go ahead, Drew.
This is a lot closer fight than everybody thinks it is. It was when the fight was before he was even made. This was a lot closer. I think that if you're talking about the only guy that beats Alexander Usyk is Tyson Fury. The only guy that beats Tyson Fury is Alexander Usyk. Like, if it doesn't matter if Derek Chisora was 5 years younger, he's still the same fighter. He's always been the same fighter. He always tires out. He would never beat Alexander Usyk. It's just point blank. He tires out. Anthony Joshua, first fight, that was a boxing masterpiece. He embarrassed AJ. Second fight was a little bit closer, but he still got the same scorecard, 9-3, basically because Anthony Joshua can't adjust. Alexander Usyk adjusted and took that fight over. Now, Fury, I'm going to be honest with you on that Ngannou fight. Fury won that fight barely, and he barely won that fight basically because after round 5, Ngannou's punch output dropped dramatically, and he basically tried to become a counterpuncher for the rest of the fight. And didn't throw that many punches. Fury was the one throwing more, even though a lot of them weren't like effective and everything. You're still gonna, if a guy's not throwing many punches or landing, and while the other guy's throwing punches and somewhat landing, you're gonna score for the guy that's somewhat landing and throwing more because he's making more of the fight. Now, AJ's trying to take this route, fighting the Francis Ngannou, thinking I can easily beat him and knock him out, and it makes me think people are going to think I can beat Fury. This is a lot more of a risk than people think it is because Ngannou is a great striker. Ngannou has a better chance of beating AJ because he's not going to be the guy that moves around. He's going to be a guy that's going to try to trade. He's going to try and he's going to get caught. He's bound to get caught with something, AJ. So let's put that to rest right now. Fury beats Usyk in like an 8-4 fight because basically Usyk will make adjustments. So would Fury, but Fury will become the bigger fighter in the second half of the fight and opposes dominance. That he's the bigger fighter, be able to use his reach, his boxing IQ, his footwork, his counter shot ability, and Usyk, he ain't going to be able to get inside once that adjustment is made because Usyk is a mid-range fighter at best. And the thing about it is, when Usyk fights AJ and them, AJ is a robot. He fights the Klitschko way. Klitschko is a predictable style. Not a lot of guys can do it because Klitschko will use his body weight in the clinch, top of you and everything. I'm talking about Vladimir. Vitaly is a different case. Vitaly is more skilled than Vladimir, in my opinion, because he can use that jab and everything and make it into a right hook and everything. But when it comes to AJ, I could compare him more than Vladimir Klitschko when it comes to style-wise because he has that same stance and everything. But if we look at it like this right now, Tyson Fury can take a fight, even though he's the smaller fighter, Usyk. And yeah, we can say Fury does tend to have problems with smaller guys, but Fury adjusts to them and becomes the bigger fighter and makes it a cakewalk after that. And I'm saying about maybe round 8, you're going to see that adjustment made. And Usyk's going to wait too long to make another adjustment. It's all about who makes the better adjustments at the end of the day in this fight. And at the end of the day, Fury's going to make that better adjustment.
I agree with that. That's some good points, Drew.
So,
But I would
so,
say one thing.
so real
Go ahead.
quick,
Go ahead.
Dan, real quick. So one of the adjustments that Usyk made in the Joshua fight, particularly in the first one, was he started changing levels, right? And Joshua had a hard time when he changed levels because Joshua doesn't have that ability to shorten up those shots when he's smothered, right? Usyk would go in, he would go in deep just to kind of frustrate Joshua and take that punching angle away from him. And then he would pivot out and then he would fire that right hook off the pivot, right? And create that space. When he tries to do that move against Fury's going to pull him down with the lead hand and he's going to throw an uppercut and he's going to run him into that right uppercut when he tries to do that. I'm just going to be honest. Like Joshua is not a physical guy. He doesn't like physicality. He didn't like when Parker smothered him. He didn't like when Takam smothered him. And, the ref didn't really let Parker work on the inside, right? So, again, it's a different kettle of fish here. And I go back to that Breedis fight. Usyk does not, and even the Chisora fight, Usyk does not like a physical fight. He's not going to be able to brace and hold up Fury's weight the same way Ngannou did. Ngannou said, I knew he was going to do that, and I was ready for it. This is a guy who's an MMA who's used to holding a guy and carrying a guy's weight on it. Usyk is not.
Well,
Usyk is not going to. Drew makes an excellent point, and I'm going to kind of elaborate even further on that. Once Usyk starts feeling that weight of Fury on the inside from round 7 on, he is not going to have that same energy level that he did in the first 6 rounds. It's just impossible. Klitschko did the same thing to a lot of those smaller guys. When they came in because they're shorter, he would lay on top of them and he would wear them out. Fury's going to do the same thing.
Hold on, White Doctor. Let me respond to that real quickly, White Doctor. Well, here's the one thing you got. Okay, fair point. Well, are you guys going to seriously believe that Alexander is going to sit there and allow Fury to do that?
He's not going to have a choice.
He's not hold on, B. Hold on, B. But let me get my point out. Let me get my point.
Let me finish this and I'll stop. You got a guy with a 7-inch reach advantage that can literally reach out and grab you and pull you in. I've seen him do it.
Yeah, against flat-footed guys who's sitting there waiting to trade and trying to knock the guy out. Number one. Number two, you don't think Usyk hasn't been studying Fury for years? He's been wanting that fight for
You don't
years.
think Fury's
Yeah,
been
okay.
studying him for years?
Hell
Fury's been
no, he
studying him
hasn't
for
been
years.
studying him long enough. He has not been studying long enough. That's why he's been avoiding that fight for nearly 2 years now. But let me just say this though. Now, here's the thing I will say though. If he comes in over two,
the fight was made
yeah.
in a year and 2 months. Stop it.
Yeah, because Fury was forced into it. But let me just say this for the most part. Let me just say this. If he comes in, and I'll go back to the weight, because I think that will be key. Because if he comes in over 265, he's not winning that fight. I'm telling you that right now, because he won't have enough leg speed or the endurance to keep up with a guy who's going to be too mobile for him. He's not going up against a guy like Alexander Usyk. He hasn't. Yes, you could say Usyk hasn't gone up against a guy like Fury to some extent. I get it. But what's working against Usyk's advantage that he knows how to fight these big guys. He's been doing it for years. He's been doing it since his old cruiserweight days. He's been doing it for years.
He hasn't been a heavyweight for years. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he's been sparring heavyweight. Wait, hold on, doctor. He's been sparring heavyweights. Wait, hold up. Usyk has been sparring heavyweights in his cruiserweight days. In the time at cruiserweight, he's been fighting heavyweights. He's been sparring them. So what makes you think he's not prepared?
Can I chime in for a second, please?
Yeah.
So all this talk about sparring is just that talk. Look, sparring is sparring. Now we can only judge Usyk by what he's done in the ring in a professional prize fight. So we've seen him against heavyweights, and in my opinion, Usyk has not looked particularly stellar against heavyweights. He didn't look good against Chisora. He didn't look good in the second Joshua fight.
First fight. Talk about the first fight.
Okay. He beat a diminished Joshua. Listen.
A diminished Joshua? Wait, hold up. Joshua was a heavy favorite to win that fight.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody can argue. I don't think anybody can argue that by the time Usyk got his hands on Joshua, Joshua was diminished. And if we look at his fights leading up to the Usyk fight, people were talking about Joshua being gunshot. And I think that's even true today. Joshua has not been the same since the first fight with Ruiz. Now, let's just call a spade, right?
Yeah.
The killer, the Joshua that was the killer, we saw a glimpse of that guy in the fight with Otto Wallin. But other than the Wallin fight, the guy has been largely MIA. Let's be honest, all right? And again, against the diminished Joshua in the second fight, Usyk did not look particularly good, in my opinion.
Well, let me just say this.
Well,
go ahead.
He definitely was not as dominant as he was in the first fight. All right, let's call a spade a spade. So we can only judge Usyk by what he's done in professional boxing matches. Sparring is sparring. That really doesn't amount to much. All right. Stylistically speaking, Usyk is not an outboxer, right? He's, like Beeb correctly pointed out, he's an ambush fighter. So what happens at the end of the ambush? He gets grabbed, and Tyson Fury will be putting that 260 plus pounds on him. So my question is, how do Usyk's legs hold up in the 8th, 9th, 10th rounds when this 260, 70-pound heavyweight has been leaning on him all fight? And let's not forget that Usyk is an accomplished in-fighter. So what does Usyk do when the ambush fails? And he's probably going to have the success early in the fight, right? But that darting in and out, having to contend with 260, 70 pounds of a guy who does have a good right hand, right? Let's not forget. Let's not forget that Tyson Fury has a very, very good boxing IQ, probably the equal of Usyk's.
Yeah, so legal tactics sometimes, but go ahead.
So it's not like, I find that when guys have boxing IQ, they have success against Usyk. Again, we go back to the Tony Bellew fight, and we go back to the Chisora fight. Guys who have boxing IQ, they have success.
Don't forget the Breeders fight. Don't forget the Breeders fight where he edged that fight out 115 and 113.
I gotta stop you. Breeders is Breeders is a cruiserweight. Faster feet, faster hands than Tyson Fury. Are we seriously comparing that?
Breeders just lost to Wallin at heavyweight, and Wallin beat him easily.
You talking about Gassiev, not Breedis. You talking about Gassiev. You talking about Gassiev.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Gassiev.
I apologize.
Wait, hold on. Usyk beat Gassiev 11 rounds to 1. What are you talking about?
No, I apologize. I get them,
Yeah.
I get them confused.
Can I tell you what?
But Breedis gave Dan. You have to admit that was a razor close fight. Come on, that was
we're talking about Marius Breedis here, who's actually a better skill fighter than Tyson Fury. What? I mean, why are we comparing apples to oranges again?
No, he's not a better skilled fighter than Fury. That's.
But can we?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
He's an in.
Yes, he is. Only Fury's got is the size of the length. That's all he's got. Marius Breedis.
Okay, so who has the better wins? Who has the better wins? Breedis or Fury?
Of course, Fury's got the better wins. We all know that. But I'm talking about technicality.
Then I think we've answered the question.
Dan, you keep contradicting yourself. But go ahead.
Yeah, can I tell me real quick?
Ain't no contradiction. Come on, wait. I gotta stop there. Hold on, Drew. Hold on. Ain't no contradiction. First things first. It is fact. Breedis is better skilled than Tyson Fury. Does Fury have the better wins? Absolutely. That's a fair comparison.
What does Breedis do better than Tyson Fury? Besides,
he can box.
No, he can't. The only thing comparable is with Breedis is he's an inside fight. He's a great inside fighter.
And a great counterpuncher. He can fight on the outside if he chooses to. Yes, he can.
He's not a great outboxer. He's not a great mid-range guy, and he's not a great counterpuncher. That's why friggin'
he was outboxing Usyk in the first few rounds. What are you talking about?
He was outboxing him because he beat him with pressure.
Oh my God! All right.
Usyk can be beat with pressure. Go ahead, Fight Doctor.
Yeah. So again, if we want to know who's the better fighter, then all we have to do is look at the resume. I think that's where the rubber meets the road, right? If a guy has beaten better opposition, then I think we can fairly say he's the better fighter. Period. I'm
not arguing against that. I never said that Breedis was a better fighter overall. I'm just saying he's better athletically and skilled than Fury. That's what I said. I never said he had the better.
That's a very subjective statement. That's a very subjective statement.
All right, I'm telling you this right now. You guys are underestimating Alexander Usyk. I've seen this happen so many times with him when he's going up against Joshua. I've seen it now with Theory. So I'm just saying, when he wins, I'm going to come right back here. If he loses, I'll come back here too. So either way.
One other thing, Philly Irish Drew, I actually disagree with you regarding the Klitschko's. I think Vladimir was the better skilled between the two of them.
Oh, hell no, he wasn't.
Well, yeah, Vladimir was better skilled. Vladimir was better skilled. Yeah, he was better skilled, but Vitaly was always the greater fighter. He was always the greater fighter.
Vladimir was a lot more defensive flawed than Vitaly was. Way more defensive flawed. He could get catched easily by a good ass fighter and everything. But I'm gonna take all you guys' points. With my arguments, Dana, man, I completely disagree with you when you say Brady's is better skilled than Tyson Fury, because you're telling me Orkataya is better skilled than Tyson Fury because Orkataya beat Brady's, and he is.
Orkataya is better skilled.
Well, Dan, if you want to even argue the Opataya, I could accept that because Opataya is a very, very skilled fighter. He's a very good versatile fighter.
Yeah, Opataya is better skilled.
You can even make an argument. You can make an argument there, but you can't. I don't think Breedis is more skilled than Fury. There's no.
But I look at it like this. Number two, we can't say that he fought like he was diminished after the Andy Ruiz fight, Joshua, because tell you the truth,
he was.
We would have to say that Lennox Lewis was diminished after getting knocked out by Oliver McCall.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, I will engage in that argument.
Let me finish real quick, Fight Doctor, and then you can go on and everything.
Yes, sir.
Now, we can have to say Lennox Lewis was diminished after losing to Oliver McCoy or after losing to Hasim Rahman.
I think the difference, though, is I think with Fight Doctor, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but when you saw Lennox Lewis come back after those defeats, it didn't appear like his confidence was shaken. He went right back at it and still was that aggressive guy that he was before those defeats. And I think Fight Doctor's questioning if Joshua was.
But here's the thing.
Right. So let's look at Lennox's resume post Oliver McCall, and let's look at Anthony Joshua's resume post Andy Ruiz and compare the two. And I think that's where the rubber meets the road. So Lennox after McCall, who did he beat? Holyfield. He beat Tyson. He beat your guy
He beat Rahman
Vitaly. He beat Rahman. So he's got an extremely, I won't say extremely, he has a very, very good resume post the Oliver McCall knockout. Who has Anthony Joshua beaten post Andy Ruiz?
Let's look at it like this.
I can tell you. I can tell you.
I know, but at that time, mostly all the fighters that Anthony Joshua fought at that time were top 10 heavyweights.
Okay, so
at that time.
So look, I think any comparisons of Anthony Joshua to Lennox Lewis in any way, shape, or form are very unfair to Lennox Lewis because Lennox Lewis is in a different time zone. I'm sorry, he's in a different solar system than Anthony Joshua, right? Lennox Lewis is the superior fighter in every respect. Post Oliver McCall, pre Oliver McCall, Lennox Lewis is the better fighter. I would compare Lennox Lewis's resume. I would take his resume pre and post Oliver McCall over Joshua's resume pre and post Andy Ruiz easily.
Okay, so
there's
now,
just no comparisons to be made between Joshua and Lewis.
So now, before I was trying to get the rest of my point out, the reason why I said he wasn't diminished, if you look at it, after the second fight, AJ mentally broke down in the ring and got pissed off and everything. That's when the diminish began. Alexander Usyk beating him twice began that diminish. That was when to show you Anthony Joshua is no longer the Anthony Joshua we thought he was because Usyk was able to box him, excuse me, and able to beat him twice and losing to a cruiserweight twice in a row. That was showed his diminished because he's mentally was checked out and everything. And that's when we all know AJ was done. It doesn't matter what he did against Arnold Marlene. Arnold Marlene's a top 5 heavyweight, in my opinion. But tell you the truth, he's just on a borderline top 5. Now, AJ's not going to beat a Tyson Fury. Fury still easily beats him. Usyk beats him 10 out of 10 times. Parker, I believe, won the first fight with AJ. That's why they won't pursue a fight with Joseph Parker, because I believe Joseph Parker beats him this time. And we look at it like this. We got to look at it. People got to realize that this guy was done after the second Usyk fight when he had that emotional mental outburst after the post-fight. Go ahead, guys.
Well, I would say this, Drew. Yeah, I say Drew, good point. I don't think that was. I mean, look, if you're going to talk about diminished versus Anthony Joshua, you could argue that maybe he was mentally not the same after the first Andy Ruiz fight. But let's not dismiss the fact that he was a favorite. Yes, he wasn't a big favorite. I mean, before, obviously when the fight, actually he was a pretty big favorite when the opening odds began. But going into the fight, it did decrease a lot. But the point is, that I'm making is that everyone thought that Joshua was going to steamroll Usyk based off his boxing performances at heavyweight. Everybody thought that.
Can I?
I'll tell you what happened when they saw Usyk struggle against Chisora. That had a big effect on the perception of how he was going to do against Joshua. You could argue that Chisora had a better performance against Usyk than Joshua did the first time around.
He did.
That was a shock.
Yeah.
And I'll add one last one.
Because two different styles you deal with. Yeah, you're doing 2 different styles. Joshua is not a swarming fighter like Chisora is.
Even I've always said this. Even Joshua, whether you want to say he's diminished or not, I would argue he was still a top 4 heavyweight, even with the questions of his confidence issues or what have you. Because I think he's still, based on this era of heavyweights, still a top 4 guy, and still would have beat. And you could argue he's a top 3 now, and he would still beat a lot of guys. So that's just regardless of diminished or not being diminished, he's still a force to be reckoned with.
Real quick, can I address the argument concerning who is and who is not the betting favorite?
Yeah.
that
Go ahead.
I mean, ultimately, that doesn't mean anything with regard to who's actually going to win the fight. Now, let's recall, and somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, but Manny
Well,
Pacquiao
my
was
doctor,
the
can I ask you? Yeah, he was. Can I say something?
let me make my
Okay.
point. Manny
All right.
Pacquiao was the betting favorite going into the fight with both Floyd Mayweather and the I think it was the fourth fight with
Floyd Mayweather. He was the betting favorite against Bradley and Marquez.
Right.
Morales.
And let's also remember that Mike Tyson was the betting favorite going into the fight with
Holyfield.
Yeah, Holyfield, and with what's his name? Douglas. Yeah, so while I understand that in some instances the betting favorite speaks to who the winner is going to be, in sometimes it can be absolutely positively meaningless. And I think that we shouldn't read too much into who are the betting favorites.
I think what Dan
Well, can I say something?
I think what Dan's trying to say is, I think what he's trying to say is it's the perception of the public, which is reflected what the betting odds are. So in other words,
right, that's my point.
People can't go back and say, oh well, what Usyk did wasn't great against Joshua, because most people, even with all those perceived issues Joshua had, still thought he was going to lose.
Yeah, exactly. And that my point. Yeah, and I was going to say, Fight Doctor, as I recall, you said that Usyk didn't stand a chance in that first fight. Did you not say that?
Yes, I felt that Joshua should have won the first fight, and
but you said he didn't stand. You said that. Yeah, you said Usyk didn't stand a chance, though. You said that.
I mean, Dan, let's be honest. If we do a lifetime of predictions, all of us are gonna be 45 to 50% wrong half the time. So
I agree. Yeah, we're never right on predictions.
I won money on that Usyk fight.
You did. You picked Usyk. I remember you did. Drew did pick Usyk the first time.
But I look at it like this: if we look at like certain fighters and we compare eras and everything, I bet you some of the Klitschko era's fighters could beat some of these guys now.
Sure.
If you look at it,
maybe.
I think a prime David Haye beats Anthony Joshua.
He probably stops him. Yeah, no question.
I think a prime David Haye beats Dillian White easily, knocks him out. I think Sultan and Bragimov beats maybe a Dillian White. And Bragimov's not really that big of a puncher and everything. Like, a lot of these guys are so beatable right now. That's what somewhat makes this division great. But it wasn't like when the Klitschko's had it, because the Klitschko's barely dominated everybody until Vladimir got the Fury. So we gotta look at it like this. Like, this division is what, because I tell you the truth right now, I think the wild card of this division now is Zhilei Zhang. And I think he beats AJ. I think the only two people that have a chance to beat him right now is maybe Fury and Usyk. Maybe Big Baby if he was more seasoned. But go ahead, guys.
I think Zhilei beats Usyk. Here's the reason why. Zhilei is a very well-skilled fighter. He has that Eastern European style, and he's a southpaw. And what a lot of people don't realize is that one of the best ways to confuse a southpaw is to put him in front of another southpaw. And I think that would be a very interesting fight to see Usyk standing opposite a southpaw with the dimensions of a Zhilei. So that would be a very interesting fight. Look, even though Zhilei is 37. He's
40 years old.
He's actually 40 years old.
Yeah,
he's 40.
So time is not on his side, but in terms of his style of fighting and his skill set, and given the current state of the division, I wouldn't be surprised to see him beat any of the heavyweights, including Fury.
Let me read.
Well, I will say this. Let me read
this. Let me read this super chat real quick, and I want to see if you guys agree with this. I respectfully disagree with this. Nando Lamas, thank you for the $4.99. He says Vitali had one great performance that he lost. He was known as a quitter prior to Lennox Lewis revisionist history. I don't think I agree with that, but
I'll respond to that. First things first, the only fight he quit was against Chris Bird. Okay, that was it. I don't see any other fight that he quit in. After he gave that courageous effort against Lewis, he didn't lose a fight ever since. So I don't see how he's a notorious quitter. He only quit in one fight. That was it. But other than that, hold on, Fight Doctor, hold on. I want to make one point. You mentioned that you said Julius J. beat Usyk. Well, I'll pretend to say that right now. Oh, somebody got me there. Yeah, there we go. I would like to say one thing. No heavyweight beats Usyk right now unless he gets to age of 40 somehow. That's the way I see it at this point. No heavyweight in that division beats him right now. No one. So that's just my thoughts.
Let's.
Let me just address the Vili Klitschko question. So here are the facts. The way I see them. Klitschko lost to the two best heavyweights that he ever fought, right? Being Chris Bird and Lennox Lewis. I don't think anybody would dispute that. Bird and Lewis are the two best heavyweights he fought. He lost in both instances by knockout. Never gave Bird a rematch. And, a lot of people make a big deal about, oh, well, Bird was connected with the wrong promoter. Listen, you lost. So you need to fight the guy. Oh, well, his brother beat him. And so what? What does that mean? The guy has a win over you. You never avenge that loss. So to me, it looked like a duck. And one last point I want to make regarding Vili Klitschko. Who did the man ever beat? I mean, seriously, who has this guy beaten? I mean, yeah, sure. He, racked up a lot of victories by knockout. He was an imposing heavyweight. Fine. Okay. No problem. Who did he beat? Who did he beat? That's my question.
Let's let Troy get in here real quick. Let's see what he thinks about this whole thing.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How's everybody doing?
What's up, Troy?
Good.
Happy New Year.
Hey, I'm listening to the discussion. I just have a few points. I don't know who said it, but he said that Joshua lost to a cruiserweight. Usyk wasn't a cruiserweight when he beat him. He said that Joshua was outboxed by Usyk. That's par for the course. Usyk has always been the better boxer. So, I mean, he said that Joshua was washed up. He's only lost 3 times, and the 2 men that beat him have not lost a fight since they beat him, right? And he's also not lost a fight since they've beat him. So you can't say he's really washed up. Now, I can see that I can see there's something mentally there, but he even said it himself. He's not what he used to be, but obviously, he's still good enough to keep winning based on who they put in front of him, right? So I don't say he's washed up. I just say that time changes everybody, and losses affect people in different ways, but he's still winning. Unlike certain other heavyweights who lost and then have not come back and won yet, but But as far as Usyk and who beats Usyk, anybody that can really just jab and focus on the body and pressure Usyk will beat Usyk. Just that simple. Pressure him, stay on the body and use that jab, and you will beat Usyk. I've never thought he was great or special. I just thought he was good. That's it.
Who do you think wins?
Detroit.
Joshua is done.
I was going to say, hold on. Let me just say something, Detroit. If you could keep up the cardio, if you could keep that up, then yeah, but no heavyweights be able to keep up with that pace. That's the problem they're facing right now when fighting a guy like Usyk. But go ahead, Fight Doctor. I know you want to say something.
Right. So, look, the only win, in my opinion, the only win on Joshua's resume of any consequence is the Klitschko win. That was a good win, right? Klitschko hadn't been stopped in a decade, right? But what has Joshua done since? What did he do before? I mean, Joshua's resume is littered with so many tomato cans, it makes you think that you're going grocery shopping. Let's be honest. Okay?
I have a question for you, Fight Doctor.
I disagree with that.
That was a
That
close
was
one
close.
right
For the
there.
fight doctor, who has a better resume at heavyweight than Joshua?
Tyson Fury.
Right now?
Tyson Fury.
Right now.
Tyson Fury. I just answered the
How's it?
question. Tyson
How's
Fury.
it better? Who has he beat that Joshua hasn't beat?
He beat a Klitschko who was undefeated for a decade. That's who.
So did
who he beat.
Joshua.
Joshua hasn't beat.
No, Joshua fought Klitschko, who was come off a loss,
No,
man.
no.
Come on, dude. You can't compare the two.
No. Okay, listen, fight doctor. I asked a simple question. Who did Fury beat that Joshua did not beat?
Deontay Wilder, who was undefeated.
Yeah.
That's because he didn't.
That's who
That's because he didn't accept the contract. That's because he didn't accept the contract. Okay,
well, that's beside the point. All right, I answered the question.
I'll break it down in context.
I'll give you that.
I'll break it down in context, right? This is how I always answer the question. I give it to Joshua over Fury, but I contextualize it. This is what I say. Joshua's been more consistent, right?
Yep.
And he's always fought his mandatories. He's beat more contenders and solid fighters than Fury, but Fury's two best wins are better than Joshua's two best wins.
That's not true. That's not true because Fury's two best.
I think it's irrefutable, and I'll tell you why. I think it's intellectually dishonest to say that, and I'll tell you why. When Fury fought Klitschko, he was a 4-1 underdog, right? And he fought him in his backyard. When Fury fought Wilder, he was coming off of a 3-year layoff in 2018, and he got a draw. And most people, I thought he won the fight. Then in the rematch, coming off the Wallen fight with his eye hanging out, people said, "Oh, there's no way he's going to beat Wilder in a rematch. That eye's not going to be healed. Wilder's going to hit him in that eye." So Fury won 3 times, right, in his career when people thought and then he beat Chisora when that was essentially a pick 'em fight the first time they fought. Joshua has never won when he was the underdog. When he beat Klitschko, he was a 3-1 favorite because Klitschko was coming off that layoff, and he was coming off the loss to Fury, and people thought he was diminished. So you can't deny that when Fury beat Klitschko and when Fury beat Wilder, those were not more significant wins than any fight that Joshua has ever been in. Now, Joshua's been more consistent than Fury. He's fought more solid top 10 guys. And again, he's fought all his mandatories. So based on sheer consistency, that's why I give Joshua the edge in resume. But Fury's 2 best wins are better than Joshua's 2 best wins. I think it's irrefutable.
Yeah, and I want to add something to
disagree.
Yeah, can I say something? Can I ask a question for you real quickly? Real quickly.
I'm going to add something to that real quick. And I'm going to be very short.
Go ahead.
Losses count, people. And when you are adding up the resume, or when you're comparing the resumes, you have to include losses. And part of the reason why Fury has a better resume, he has no losses on his resume. And I'm sorry, but losses count. When we are,
yeah, they do. But he's also ducked many fights. He ducked many fights, so we have to take that into account. And another thing I would say too is that I totally agree. Pete, you make a very good, solid point. Is you want to contextualize the whole thing. Fury has not been consistent, and that's the reason why his resume has always been debatable. He's never been consistent. So smoke and mirrors. Yeah, and that's why I do lean toward Joshua as far as his resume department, because he has been consistent. Yes, he suffered losses throughout the end. He hasn't been. But go ahead.
Let's just put a nail in the coffin. If Fury beats Usyk, can anyone say that his resume is not the best in boxing if he beats Usyk?
At that point,
I would say this. If he beats Usyk, then it's irrefutable at that point. It's not disputed.
And let's give Fury credit. As much as he's been inconsistent, right? He's doing something that Joshua's never done.
Which is
what he couldn't do. Beat Usyk.
Well,
which is what?
Beat Usyk and be undisputed.
He hasn't fought Usyk yet. He hasn't fought him yet. You can't say.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If he beats Usyk, because of undisputed, then
win, lose, or draw, this is a fact. He's doing something that Joshua has never done. He is fighting for an undisputed title. and it took him 14 months to do it, where Joshua hasn't done it in his whole career.
That's because
Joshua, right? And I don't blame him fully for this, but he never fought Wilder, right? And Fury got off the couch, and in 2018 fought Wilder, and people were saying he's going to get crucified. Everyone said it except for me. And I even went as far as saying a 75% version of Fury would beat Wilder. And that's no disrespect to Wilder. I just thought Fury was that good. So Fury won when he wasn't supposed to win. That's something that Joshua never did. That's number one. And Fury is doing something that Joshua has never done in his whole career. He is fighting in an undisputed fight, and I give credit to Usyk for this as well. They are both doing something that has not been done in 25 years. And to not give each of them credit for that, I think is a disservice.
But
I tell you what, right? He actually tried to make the fight with Fury, and Fury
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it.
We're dealing in the.
I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it.
So here's something else that Fury is doing that Joshua
failed
to do.
One last thing, Fight Doctor. Is it a coincidence that Joshua couldn't make undisputed with Fury, and he couldn't make undisputed with Wilder, right? So we have to be honest here that when you look at this, Fury has to get credit for doing something that Joshua never did.
Making a decision.
B, can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah, making a decision, sure.
No, but there's a flip side to that. They didn't make the fights with Joshua either. You can't say that Joshua didn't make the fights with them. They didn't make the fights with him, so it goes both ways.
Well, but again, is it a coincidence that one guy is the common denominator? Is what I'm trying to say. These guys made the fight in a second, Wilder and Fury. And people can say that Fury was ducking Usyk and didn't want the fight. People could say whatever they want about that. But the end of the day is this is the shortest amount of time it's ever been ever taken to make an undisputed fight. Crawford Spence took 5 years to make. You know, we can go down the line of undisputed fights that Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson took 5 years to make. This fight literally took 14 months to make.
It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, let me just say this. I'm not going to give Fury credit for that because, let me say something, Troy. I'm not going to give Fury too much credit for the fight. Yes, he had to go through it. But I maintain my hold up, I'm going to maintain my position. I'm going to maintain my position that he was forced into it and he was offered so much money that he could not refuse to turn down to make that fight. Why do you think he came why do you think he became too hostile in that first press with Usyk? Why do you think he did it?
Dan, define what it means that he was forced to take the fight. The guy can retire. The guy can retire tomorrow and live the rest of his life without a financial woe.
Well, of course, he was offered too much money he couldn't refuse. Number one, and number two was public pressure. The way he swerved that Usyk fight. Come on, bro. I'm not buying too much into that. No, come on, bro.
Can I just say something?
He walked away from a Klitschko rematch that would have been a huge monetary gain.
He walked away from a Joshua fight too.
Yeah, he walked away from the Klitschko rematch because he knew that drug testing scandal was going to come up. So that's the reason why he did it. So I'm just saying, bro. I'm not. Look, I give him some bit of credit for taking the fight, but I'm not going to give him too much credit because he was pretty much forced into it. So let's be honest.
Dan, he wasn't forced into it. He could have said no. Anyone can say no.
Where else was he going to go then? Where else was he going to go? I'm just saying. Where else he retiring with the stain that the fact that he voided the Usyk fight, voided the middleweight. Yeah, the reputation.
Vitali was 45-2 with 41 KOs. He beat who was there? Okay, another one. Prime Fury beats Usyk, but his lack of discipline is catching up to him now. Probably slacked over Christmas. His dad said his camp's a circus right now. Whatever. So. Right after Joshua lost to Usyk, right? They offered him the Fury fight, and they actually turned it. Joshua was the last.
Wait, when did they offer the fight? When did they offer
Right
the Fury fight?
And I'm being honest. I'm going to be objective.
When?
here.
I'm asking, when did they offer Usyk the Fury fight? When did that happen? After the you saying after the second Joshua fight?
No, they offered Joshua the Fury fight after he lost the second time to Usyk.
Okay.
And I don't. And context is key. I don't think he should have taken it then, right? But he was offered, and Eddie Hearn and Frank Smith said they turned it down. So
I would have turned it down too.
And I would have turned it down too, because he's coming off 2 losses.
No, that's not why.
But if we're gonna be honest, technically he was the last person to turn down the fight. But let me read this.
But that's not
let
why.
me read this. Let me read this super chat, and I'm gonna let you burn. Troy, I don't want to cut you off too many times. I know I interrupt you a lot. All right. Shout out to Ismanda Zwami. He said for the 140. I don't even know what this monetary denomination is, but for $140 super chat. Said Wilder admitted that he was offered more to fight AJ, but chose to rematch Fury. It wasn't AJ's fault that the Wilder arbitration came into play. Why is AJ and Usyk made 2 fights in a row, but quickly Usyk and Fury couldn't do it? Usyk and Fury did do it. I mean, they're fighting February 17th. I know some people still think it's not going to happen, but it's going to happen.
It's not.
Pete, can I get in real quick on this? I just want to add something, and then I'm also going to say something. When it comes to negotiating with AJ always going to have that rematch clause in. You got to have a rematch clause with AJ. That's how they always do their negotiations. If I lose, you got to give me a rematch. It's not the other way around. But to my other question, to the guy that says that AJ's 2 best wins are better than Fury's best wins, can you tell me both of AJ's best wins and compare the 2 with Fury? I'm just anxious on your theory on that one.
Well, Klitschko was his first big win. That's the one he's really known for, right? And then basically all the rest is just a bunch of the top guys that he fought. It was
a bunch of tomato cans.
He beat Mark. Yeah. But funny enough, all those cans you talked about, Fury didn't beat him, and Wilder didn't fight them.
Okay.
So, didn't beat Dillian White.
Anyway,
he didn't beat Dillian White.
Yeah, he fought Dillian White. But anyway,
Who did you pick to win that fight, Troy? Who did you pick to win that fight?
Of course I picked Dillian White.
Who did you pick to win that fight?
Of course I picked Dillian White, and I will keep picking Dillian White. That ain't gonna change, brother. That ain't gonna change. That ain't gonna change. So basically, I'm gonna make my comment now that this dude is trying to cut me off. If Fury fought
the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, you would pick the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Let's just be honest. You don't.
Nah, let me tell you the truth about that. Let me say my piece now. Fury, I don't really believe this. I think he's going to find a way to pull out of this fight. And secondly, go through Fury's history and you'll come to realize that he has trouble with boxers. He had trouble with Cunningham, who dropped him. He had trouble with Waling because he just couldn't hurt the man, and the man was walking him down. The smaller man was walking him down. And this dude here is going to tire him out. He's going to tire him out, and he's going to beat him on points. It's going to be an ugly, ugly fight if they fight. And Fury's not going to beat him.
Let me ask Troy this question. Hey, Troy, let me ask you this. Do you think I'm not sure if you agree with my point. Do you really genuinely believe that Fury pretty much was forced into the Usyk fight?
I don't know how you force somebody into a fight, because you have the right to say no. So I don't know about forcing.
Well, what I mean by force, let me elaborate on that a little bit. What I mean by is due to force of public pressure. That's what I meant.
This is what they did. They kidnapped somebody in Fury's family, right?
But listen.
They tied them up, and they sent the picture to Fury, and they said, "If you don't fight Usyk, we're gonna hold your family hostage." This is ridiculous.
But listen.
Insane. This is insane. This logic.
No. But
it is not insane,
you're
bro.
actually joking about that, but that stuff happens in the sport for real.
It does.
You're making jokes about that, but that stuff has happened. I don't think he was forced into a fight. It's just a cash out. I think he's after this. He's probably going to just
it's kind of like Michael Spinks with Mike Tyson. You think Spinks didn't want to fight Mike Tyson? He was avoiding that fight ever since he moved up to heavyweight for a long time, and they finally offered him enough money that he couldn't turn down.
If the fight happened, just 1 second on the business of boxing.
Tank Davis just turned down allegedly $20 million to fight Devin Haney, and I'm not gonna sit there and say that the Zone don't have the money to pay fucking Tank Davis, because I know they do. So again,
You know, if you don't want to fight, you could still say no. Tank's done it several fucking times.
Hey, can I just chime in on the business of boxing real quick?
Fury's done it too.
So, and this is not exactly related to boxing, but I think it'll help paint a picture. So, I recall listening to a story that does everyone remember Vanilla Ice?
Yes.
So back in like the mid '90s, I think it was, he was like the one-hit wonder, big sensation. You know, he had that one song, Ice Ice Baby, and it was topping the pop charts and the hip hop charts, and you know, whatever charts it mattered at the moment, you know, he was at the top. And so I recall a story that he told about a visit he received from Suge Knight. Now, I think you guys know who Suge Knight is, right? He's the hip hop gangster mogul. And
Suge Knight.
Yeah, Suge Knight. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
got knocked out twice in the street. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess at the time of this visit that Suge Knight paid to Vanilla Ice, I guess his contract had expired with whatever record company he was with at the time, and Suge Knight came and visited Vanilla Ice, and as the story goes, he coerced Vanilla Ice into signing a record contract with Suge Knight. And from what I understand, part of the coercion process was Suge Knight hung Vanilla Ice from the side of a building. And his choices
were... Like in the 5 Heartbeats?
And yeah, so his choices were sign the contract or meet the concrete from the side of this building. So I said that to say this. Boxing is a dirty business and has been run by gangsters forever. Let's not forget the era with Muhammad Ali and Sonny Liston and all of the drama that was surrounding that fight, especially the rematch. Yeah, boxing is a dirty business. So if somebody tells me that there's this, you know, a fighter has been forced into signing a contract, then I can believe that because the business is run by gangsters. Always has been.
How the fuck did we get to talking about Vanilla Ice?
Good question.
He was making, hold up, Drew. He was just making a point. He was just trying to make a relevant point about how dirty the business can be, bro. Come on.
Drew's just kidding. He's kidding. Drew's kidding.
Yeah, but the point that I'm making is that the boxing is run by gangsters. It traditionally has been run by gangsters. And, you know, I don't think that's changed. You know, look at how the WBC and the WBA, how they deal off. The WBO, it's very, very suspect the way that they move around the rankings. Ngannou has yet to win a professional fight and still has a top 10 ranking in the WBC. Someone please explain. Make it make sense. Okay?
Well, you know, he dropped Fury, so I guess that put him in the top 10.
I guess knocking a guy down, or, you know, I don't know. Make it make sense to me.
And you know, honestly, it depends on who you ask. People think he won that fight.
I actually think he edged it out. I think he edged the fight out. I thought he won.
Well, that's just the whole point, how embarrassing the situation is, because we shouldn't even have a debate over whether he beat the Deputy or not. So this is why I got a problem with this whole situation. With the Ngannou.
It was a fight that I believe could have gone either way. I had it even in rounds, but I thought because Ngannou scored the knockout, I thought he won the fight. That's my
or the 8th round when he gave Fury that beating in that 8th round. I mean, that's also take that into account.
Well, I'm scoring rounds individually, and I had 5 rounds for Ngannou and 5 rounds for Fury. And I will argue that 8th round was probably the most dominant round in the fight from both fighters.
It was the only dominant round.
It was the only dominant round.
I would concede that as well. Let me just read the super chat real quick from CN. He says, "His Excellency forced Fury to take the fight by throwing so much money at Frank Warren. Who else would he fight? Backed into a corner." Yeah, I mean, the Excellency took a gun to his head and had a fucking suitcase in the other. It says, either you take this fight or I'm going to kill you. I mean,
but Joe, here's the thing. It's going to put all this bullshit that he got forced to take the fight to bed. It's like this. If you don't want to take the fight and everything, or you get mandated by a section by to take the fight, You got two options: retire or fucking vacate. God damn, it's that fucking simple, guys. You can't force somebody into fighting.
Yes, you can force somebody to fight.
Yes, you can. I don't know why you guys are oblivious to this. Yes, you can.
Guys, that
and
is
that's
the
a real
stupidest
story.
thing I heard in my on
Trevor
this thing.
It's not the stupidest thing, Drew.
Yes, that's a true story. Trevor Berbick was forced to fight Tyson.
Yeah, Trevor Burbick was forced into Tyson Fury fight. Thank you for bringing that up, Troy. He didn't want to fight Tyson, but he was forced into it. Yeah, he was forced into it.
You do not have to fight somebody if you don't want to. You have two options.
Anybody can say no. I will say this. Somebody can be manipulated into taking a fight. Now, Ryan Garcia was manipulated, I believe, into taking that Tank Davis fight when he gave up so much of that. And money can change people's minds, but you still have the right to say no. So when you say someone's forced, like we have to pay taxes. That's a law.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to fucking go to a store and buy a Diet Coke just because we're thirsty. Because we could buy water, or we could open up our faucet and take a glass and drink tap water. So no one's forcing us to buy that Coke just because we're thirsty.
Okay, listen, I have some facts for you. I did an interview with Buddy McGirt, me and Major, a while back, right? He told a story of how he went to his doctor. He had hurt his arm or whatever in a fight, and his doctor cleared him knowing that he was hurt. He was still hurt, but the doctor cleared him. And then years later, he ran into that dude and asked him, "Well, why did you clear me?" And he lost that fight, by the way. And then he caught up with that doctor, and he said, "Well, he said, well, buddy, I'm sorry. You know, they actually made me do it because they were going to kill my family." And you could go check that. You could go right to Major Key, you know, and check that interview out for yourself. He came out his own mouth and said that. So things do happen in the business. Things do happen in the business.
You do know Buddy McGirt had ties to Al Certo, who was a mob member. So
yeah, so does Fury, right? It does not count for anything.
So all I'm saying is people get forced into doing things in boxing, man. It's not something that doesn't happen. It's something that does happen. People do get forced.
Do you think Fury was forced into taking this fight?
I don't think. I told you. I think it's a cash out. It's a cash out fight. He's done after this. Win, lose, or draw. If
you agree with me that obviously in this particular instance, money was a huge determining factor in him taking this fight.
Yeah, I think he would have got more fighting Joshua, but yeah, he's cashing out and he's leaving.
Well,
and he's going to say, "Well, I'm going to."
Well, I think it's a mixture of both. He was forced into it, and plus public pressure, because he saw how badly his reputation was damaged after avoiding the fight. It was badly damaged.
More pressure for him to fight Joshua.
No, it was more pressure to fight Usyk than Joshua. A lot more pressure to take that fight.
No matter what Fury does, there's a large portion of people that aren't going to like him anyways. When he beats Usyk on February 17th, he's still not going to beat him.
Usyk is going to outbox him, and I'm going to come right back here and laugh at you. Usyk
but you would never pick any boxer over Fury because you never have. I mean, you've never picked.
That's
Fury
not true. That's absolutely not true.
You've never picked Fury to beat anybody.
That's absolutely not true. I picked White to beat him, and that's what.
No, I picked to beat him. I misspoke. I said you've never picked Fury to beat any fighter ever.
I've only picked White to beat him. Who else did I pick to beat him?
Did you pick Wilder to beat him?
Okay, well, first fight, but the very first fight.
Did you pick Wilder? Did you pick Wilder to beat him the second time?
Second and third fight, absolutely not, because I saw the fact that he could outbox Wilder in his sleep. So no, I did not. No,
I don't know about that. I'll have to.
I don't care what you don't know. I'm telling you fact. It's a fact. He can outbox.
All right. I mean, you're telling me what you think is a fact. I don't
know. No. I'm telling you the fact. After I saw the first fight, I said this dude is going to beat.
After Fury had that fight with Wilder and suffered that big cut, you still thought he was going to beat Wilder in the second fight?
Of course I did, because there's two different animals. One's a boxer and a southpaw. The other one cannot box. He just has a right hand. They're two different animals.
All right. Shout out to CN. He says, Drew, why are you acting like pride doesn't exist? These guys will not want to vacate or retire to avoid fights. It's too shameful. that just speaks to what Drew and I said. They're not forced into doing it. They're doing it because they have pride. You just made our point for us.
You really think Fury's pride is the reason why he's taking this fight? You really believe that?
He's cashing
guys
out.
really-
He ain't got no damn pride.
Yeah, this ain't no pride, man. Get out of here with that. I don't believe that. I think he's taking this fight because there's too much money involved, and he has to take it.
About the dollar bill. Yeah, I agree. It's about money.
I believe Fury is taking this fight for the money.
Yeah, it ain't about pride. That's my point. It ain't about pride for him.
It's called pride fighting for a reason.
And guess who else is taking this money for this fight for the money?
Usyk.
Oh man, okay.
He was coming off a fight that he lost that they gave to him.
Well, let me ask you this: if Usyk is really taking the fight solely for money, then why did he agree to a huge pay cut to take the fight in London instead? Why did he agree to that?
It didn't matter what he agreed
because
to.
What do you mean it didn't matter? You say he's just doing it for the money. He's doing it.
Do you want me to unpack it? Do you want me to?
Wait. He has no fan base. So you tell me then why? Wait. Hold on.
Let me unpack it. Let me unpack it for you. And I know this for a fact. Because I talk to people in Top Rank. That fight was actually signed and talked about before the Ngannou fight. The deal was when you saw the picture he took in February with Turki Al-Sheikh, right? And Turki Al-Sheikh in that Facebook post said there's more to come, right? They already knew that fight with Usyk was going to happen after the Ngannou fight. That was part of the package. It was already part of the package, right? That's why it was set for December. But then when Fury had that struggled and had the tough time with him, they had to reschedule it. But they knew back in February, right, that they were going to fight Usyk either at the end of the year or the beginning of the next.
That's because he's supposed to walk through Francis Ngannou. Whoops, that didn't happen.
It didn't happen. But what I'm saying is the Saudis already had that packaged in to the Ngannou fight that he's going to fight Usyk next. It was always part of the plan.
But you know what? To everybody's point, it's like this. Tank Davis is now the full WBA lightweight champion. If he gets mandated to fight, let's say, Lomachenko or Jermaine Ortiz or somebody, he's getting mandated. Technically, if he doesn't want to fight, he's just going to vacate that belt. It's just going to affect his legacy because he hasn't fought nobody.
Both guys are vacating multiple belts.
He's going to say the belts don't matter. And then
when Fury wins on February 17th, the only two belts he's keeping are the ring and the WBC. All those other belts are going to be vacated.
He's going to ride off into the sunset and go make Snatch Part 2. That's what he's going to do.
Well, that's if he wins. That's if he wins. And good luck to that. Try to get off those combinations and try to lean over the guy like Usyk. We'll see how that's going to fare out for him.
He has a problem with boxers. So look for this fight. Y'all keep saying it's a done deal that he's going to win. I firmly believe this dude Usyk is going to beat him.
But the problem is that Usyk is not an outboxer. And I think that's
what is
style. He's an ambush fighter.
He's a mid-range ambush in and out fighter.
Wait. If he's not an outboxer, then explain the AJ fights. Hold up. Explain the AJ fights. Did he not outbox him in those two fights?
So
yeah, by ambushing him and getting off the shots in the mid-range. Yes, he did.
Yeah, fought him in the outside too. So what are you talking about?
No,
he did. No, you did not see the first fight.
I did.
So
let
me ask you a question. If Usyk were to, first of all, Usyk is not an outboxer. He's just
not an outboxer.
You do not. Oh my God! Did he not outbox Maragassiev?
In the mid-range. Again, in the mid-range.
If Usyk were to stand and fight Fury from the outside, who has the advantage here?
Why would he do that?
Here's the thing.
Exactly. Why would he do that? Because Fury has the advantage. So again, Usyk is not the outboxer. That's not what he does.
And
he is an ambush fighter.
Usyk is not an outboxer, and he's not an inside fighter.
It's kind of funny.
Y'all keep underestimating this guy. I'm telling you, guys gonna have a rude awakening come February.
Dan,
y'all gonna have a rude awakening. I'm telling you that right now.
again, is Shaquille O'Neal a free throw shooter?
That's kind of no. Listen. Let me say something real quick.
Is Shaquille O'Neal a free throw shooter?
No, everybody knows that, but let me say something real quick.
Is he still a top 50 best basketball player?
He's more than top 50, but let me say something real quick. Everything you're saying about Usyk, you could say about Cunningham, who's 6'2", who dropped him, and you could say about,
and outboxed him,
who actually who made him bleed and beat him up.
Cunningham actually is an outboxer.
Exactly. And question for you.
At cruiserweight, he was. Yeah, sure.
Question for you. How did Fury beat Cunningham? Did he outbox him? Or did he lean on him and won in the laziest way?
Use illegal tactics to win that fight. He's illegal tactics to win that fight. But go ahead.
He beat him with clinch fighting.
He leaned on
illegal tactics.
He used that big ass body.
He used illegal tactics to beat Cunningham. We all know that.
I am 100% comparing Usyk's skills to Shaq's free throw skills, and I'll tell you why.
I don't know why.
Context is always key. Nuance is always key. When I say someone has a similarity, that does not mean they are identical. That does not mean they are same. Meaning, you don't always have to be overly versatile to be great. That one thing that you do great can be enough to make you beat other people. So because Shaq was great at what he did, and he wasn't as versatile as, say, someone like a Kobe Bryant or someone like a Michael Jordan, does not mean he's still not great. Usyk is a great Hall of Fame fighter.
No, he's not.
But that does not.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Go ahead. Yes, he is.
And whoever's just saying that, come on.
You judge people by their era, not all time. He is arguably.
I don't see it.
He is arguably probably the second best, or maybe you can even argue David Hay, and Evander Holyfield are the three best cruiserweights of all time.
Evander Holyfield was the best cruiserweight. Period. Everybody else is a far second.
And I would agree. You could argue that, and I wouldn't fight.
There's no arguing.
If you say that, okay, I can understand.
Yeah, I would say this to Troy's point. If you can get Dwight Muhammad Kawi and Carlos De Leon, then yeah, that'd be hard for argue for Usyk's resume at that point. But go ahead.
Let me land the plane. Muhammad Ali was not a great inside fighter, and he was not a great mid-range fighter. He was a great outboxer. But being as great as he was on the outside, and even though he wasn't a great inside fighter, he still knew how to defend on the inside because he could nullify guys by holding them, right? So again, just because you're not great at everything, right, doesn't mean you're not great. So Usyk is not an outboxer. He's not an inside fighter.
Not great.
Can I piggyback off of?
He's an ambush mid-range guy, and that is still good enough to beat 99.9% of the fighters out there.
But you're saying it's not good enough to beat Fury, though. That's what you're saying. Wait, hold on. Is that what you're saying?
Because here's the problem. You're fighting another great guy who can do more than you.
No, he cannot. I mean, you gotta stop this, B. He cannot. Only thing Fury can do is lean.
Can I just say something real quick? If Fury's not great, who's great? AJ? That dude's nowhere near great. And Usyk's
I never said Fury wasn't great. I never said that.
I wasn't talking about you, Dan. I was talking about the dude that's
all great. They are all great in their era.
There are no great heavyweights in this era.
Somebody has to be greater than the other.
There's no great heavyweights in this era.
I want to piggyback off of the point B just made. Now, the guy I was actually thinking was Larry Holmes, but Muhammad Ali actually works also. When we talk about the outboxing style, for anyone who wants to make the point that Usyk is an outboxer, let's compare him to guys who are actually outboxers, like a Larry Holmes, like a Muhammad Ali, a guy who would dominate you from the outside using his jab and coming behind the jab with a right hand, right? This is what Ali did. This is what Larry Holmes could do. This is not what Usyk does. He doesn't stay on the outside and dominate you with a jab.
Now, Fury doesn't do that either.
You know what?
He does.
You know what? I'm going to put this on the bed right now. Usyk is a boxer that prefers to fight at the mid-range and needs to jab to complete his style. Fury is a guy that likes to stay on the outside, but he could also box on the inside. That is it. He can be an ambush fighter, Usyk, but Usyk needs the jab, and Usyk will be considered a pure boxer because he's a guy that prefers to fight in the mid-range. That is his range.
Well, who's a faster fighter?
Fury has faster hands.
Fury has
no. Oh, wait. Oh, no. No, he does not. No, he does not.
Fury has faster hands than him.
No, he does not. No, he does not, Drew. No, he does not. If you look at the hand speed and the skill set, is vast. It is vast. I mean, it's nowhere near it. I'm sorry. Usyk is far skillful than Fury. Far skillful.
Dan, I'll be objective here. I think the hand speed is very comparable. Usyk has faster feet. The hand speed is comparable.
So can I answer the question?
This will. I'm sorry, Fight Doctor. This will destroy Troy's argument, and this will destroy Dan's argument, and this will kind of expand on.
I'm not arguing.
This will expand on Fight Doctor.
Fury does not have faster hands than Usyk. Come on, guys.
let me make this point. Let me make this point. Larry Holmes and Muhammad Ali could plant their feet in the middle of that ring, not have to move, and they could stick you and keep you at the end of that jab. Usyk does not set his feet. He is constantly moving to get his shit off.
Fury don't set his feet either.
That is the definition of not being an outboxer.
Yeah, but Fury don't set his feet either.
Yeah, so I want to address the speed.
Yes,
question.
He does for power shots, bro.
Yes, he does.
I want to address the speed question. Now, look, I will say that Usyk has the advantage in the speed department, but at the same time, let's look at history. Let's look at the fight between Zab Judah and Kostya Tszyu. Who had the faster hands and faster feet in that fight? And what was the result?
Because you timed them. Timing beats speed.
Timing beats speed.
I mean, if you want to say Usyk is the faster fighter, okay, it's fine. I think the hand speed is very close and it's very comparable. That's just my opinion on the hand speed.
If you want to look at history, you could answer this question: what good boxer has Fury ever beaten?
What good boxer?
He only looks good. His two best wins. Wait, no, hold on. You know, he only looked good against
boxer. Klitschko is a Hall of Fame boxer. He
didn't look good. He grabbed. Anyone that made that an ugly ass fight, that's the only reason why he beat him.
He won.
But you know, he only looked good against. Okay, go ahead.
Let's go do the same shit, bro. So what's your point?
He won 9 rounds to 3.
There was in a grab fest. What I'm saying is he only looks good.
Let's talk about that. I
was trying to talk about it. You cut me off. Go ahead.
I think Fury oftentimes is underrated in his performance against Klitschko.
There's a reason why. Nothing to rate.
Well, okay, so we have to ask the question why. Simple fact is, Fury shut Klitschko all the way completely down.
I didn't ask you why.
Okay, and look, whether you ask or not, I'm telling you, okay, what happened? That Klitschko got shut down in that fight because he was clearly intimidated by what Fury brought to the ring and refused to throw any punches.
Okay, brother.
What was the punch count? What was the punch count in that fight?
It
was something like 2 punches per round.
Because I couldn't stand to watch any more of that fight. That was the most. Oh my God!
Did you enjoy watching Joshua Ruiz too? Was that a great fight to watch?
That wasn't a great fight. It was a decent fight, but
no, it wasn't. It was a boring fucking fight. Joshua ran the whole second half of the fight, bro.
How was it a horrible fight?
Did you enjoy
the whole second half?
Did you enjoy watching Joshua versus Jermaine Franklin? That means no. That means no. Okay, so we can play this game all day. Did you enjoy watching Muhammad Ali versus Leon Spinks the first and second fight? Those
were ugly fights, man. What's your point?
So the point is, I just made my point. Everyone has ugly fights.
And I was trying to make my point, but I kept
everyone has ugly fights.
No, but he only looks good against people who can't box.
Okay.
He only looks good against people who can't box.
Yeah, okay, so then
take for instance, you know, the Derek Chisora fight. He looked great in that fight. He even turned southpaw.
Once again, Mr. Graham
and then you take the Wilder fight. He looked great in that fight, but he doesn't look good against boxing.
Talking complete nonsense. Explain the Klitschko fight, because what you're saying makes no sense.
There's nothing to explain. That fight was a grab ugly fest.
There's nothing for you to explain. It was an ugly
grab fest, and nobody enjoyed that fight except you.
There was no holding in that fight.
Nobody enjoyed that fight. What was there to enjoy in that fight?
There was no holding in that fight, and I'll tell you why there was no holding in that fight.
What was it there to enjoy in that fight?
I'll tell you what I enjoyed about it. I enjoyed watching a guy get feinted out of his socks and couldn't get his shit off because he kept being feinted and he couldn't time Tyson Fury. Fury actually did not look. If that was not an action-packed fight, that was a chess.
That wasn't even a fight.
Well, let me just say this: that's one of the worst heavyweight fights I've seen.
That's one of the worst fights, period. Not just heavyweight. Period.
That's your opinion, but if
that's actually the prevailing opinion. Yeah, it is.
That is the.
I haven't found one person that enjoyed that fight except you.
That is the popular. That is the popular. No, that's the popular opinion. I understand. I'm not saying you have to say that was a great fight, but when you look at that fight sheerly on the tactics of it,
I didn't see anything special.
Fury fought a masterful fight.
Oh my God!
I gave Klitschko 3 rounds in that fight.
Beeb, I gotta say,
listen, Klitschko had been. Correct me if I'm wrong, someone, but Klitschko was on a knockout streak going into the Fury fight, and above and beyond that, had been dominant for a decade.
Well, technically, he wasn't on a knockout streak because his last fight was against Brian Jennings. And he did knock him out, so he was just coming off that.
That's one fight. Let Drew get in. Let Drew get in. He wants to make a point.
I gotta say, Beeb, you got some very interesting, funny people on this panel today.
Yeah, especially you.
Second of all, can I just ask a question, man? Are you a Fury hater? Just give me a straight answer. Do you hate Tyson?
You know what? I really hate that word in boxing, and you have such a high
everything
voice.
That you're saying,
you know what? Listen to me. Let me say something to you. I don't hate.
Yes or no?
I don't hate. Listen, I can't hate someone I don't know.
No,
that's the best way for me to answer your question.
Are you a Fury fan?
Absolutely not. I don't like his style.
Okay, then. Thank you.
At all. I don't like his style.
Nothing that like I like all 3 fighters. I think Fury is the best of the 3.
But that's you. I don't like his style.
Here's the thing, man.
I don't like Usyk's style either.
You don't have to like somebody's style to agree that it's effective or not. You have to be objective. For instance, I love Muhammad Ali, but I'm not a particular fan of strictly outboxers. I like guys who can kind of go inside. I like my favorite style of a fighter is a Sugar Ray Leonard. He's my favorite fighter of all time because he can box from the outside. He can count. I like guys who can do more than one thing. I like versatile guys.
Much like Holyfield.
But
I would agree with that. Holyfield is a very versatile guy.
It's like this. At the end of the day, if we look at it like this, Tyson Fury won a chess match against Vladimir Klitschko and took away his best weapon. Don't say, oh, God, because he's not just your God. He's everybody's God.
He's not. No, he's not.
Don't interrupt me either, please. Thank you. That he took away his best weapon, his jab. That's what he took away. Vladimir could not get nothing off because of what Beeb said. He was fainting a lot. He was scared of Fury's power, what will come of it if he got nailed with something. And he did get nailed with a punch before that did hurt Vladimir a couple of times.
Busted up Vladimir's face in that fight, too.
So if we look at it like this, Fury beat a way better version of Vladimir than AJ did. So to compare to compare his 2 best wins against AJ's 2 best wins, I'm telling you the truth. I don't know why we would even do it because Fury is by far has his 2 best wins are better than AJ's 2 best wins because AJ's 2 best wins are against a washed up Vladimir, which he clearly was, and an overweight Andy Ruiz, and he clearly ran away from the second half of the fight. Point blank. Deontay Wilder was a champion, was ranked number 1 in the heavyweight division.
No.
You could say he was you could arguably say AJ was. makes you a little bit happy too. But at the end of the day, Fury's best 2 wins are way better than AJ's 2 best wins.
It's not even
But at the end of the day, if we look at it like this, like I said, the only man that has a chance to beat Fury, in my opinion, is Alexander Usyk, and the only man that has a chance to beat Alexander Usyk, in my opinion, is Tyson Fury. Case closed. Let's have a good day, guys. Let's not get emotional. Let's not argue no more. Let's have a good boxing discussion.
I'm making some jerk turkey.
Oh, good, man. That's good, man. I just ate some Brussels.
Turkey making turkey. Interesting.
Sorry, Beeb.
No, but context is key. You got a guy in Tyson Fury that went to Vladimir Klitschko's backyard, and it was a 4-1 underdog, and he beats him. Then you got a guy coming off the couch, dropping 100 pounds. In the same year he came back, fought two warm-up fights, and then goes and fights for they actually told him don't take the fight, his team, and he still took the fight and arguably won the fight. And he was a 3-1 underdog in that fight. Then he comes back in the rematch after suffering a grotesque cut against Wallen 4 months later. And then he goes in the rematch 4 months later with Wilder. People, that cut's not healed. He's going into the fight too soon. And then he demolishes the guy in Deontay Wilder's backyard. I mean, if context is not key here, then
Didn't they fight in Vegas?
Again, Deontay Wilder is American. This is a guy that's from another country. You're fighting a guy in his home country. Context is key here. I mean, like, those wins had more value to them than any win that Joshua's ever had. Any win.
In your opinion?
Joshua has never won when he wasn't supposed to. He's never won as the underdog. The only time he really, and again, I'll look at Saudi as neutral ground, right? The only time Joshua ever left his home base, right, and went into someone else's backyard and lost was when he went to the United States. He's never won when he went away from home, and he's never won as the underdog.
He fought overseas before. He fought in Saudi, didn't he?
I just explained Saudi is neutral ground because
but that's not his home, though. You said he never lost. He never won. Yeah, it's not his home.
It's neutral.
But it's not his home. That was your point. It's not the UK, is it?
No, it's not.
No, so you just made a mistake.
I prefaced my point by saying he's never won in someone else's backyard like Fury has. That's what I said.
Yeah, hey, B, real quickly. One of your commenters said that Joshua was an underdog in the Ruiz rematch. Actually, he wasn't, according to the bookies. He was still the favorite that went. The reason why is because they still made him the favorite in the Ruiz rematch is because, one, in the first fight, he was winning the fight before he got caught with that left hook, and that was it. That's all she wrote. They were basing his loss off of a lucky punch by Ruiz, and then he never recovered after that.
Yeah, so here's my question.
That's what they say. I'm not saying it was lucky. That's what their people were saying. That's why he was still the favorite going into the rematch.
Here's my question.
But go ahead.
Has Joshua ever been an underdog in any fight? In the whole
Usyk rematch?
No,
he wasn't. He was a favorite in that fight. He was a favorite in that fight.
Only in the Usyk rematch was the only time he was an underdog, and he's.
And I maintain to my position to this day, and I got a lot of flack for saying this. He was never going to be ready for that rematch. He should never have taken it, but it is his right. He wanted to take it. It was his right to do so, but I still did think he was going to win it, and I was proven right. So I just want to throw that out.
The fact that effectively Joshua has never been an underdog in any of his fights, I think that speaks volumes.
Does that matter?
And actually, it does.
Why?
It does matter because it speaks to the quality of his opposition.
Of course.
How the hell have you never fought in a fight where you were the underdog?
Well, he was underdog in the Usyk rematch.
What does that mean?
He was underdog in the Usyk rematch, a pretty big underdog.
Okay, let's exclude the Usyk rematch, right?
Okay.
Because that's an outlier. But every other fight, he was the favorite.
let's.
Yeah.
I think that speaks volumes.
All we gotta do is do this. Let's just do this. We're gonna go around the panel because I've never picked against Fury in my life. I'm biased towards Fury, but I'm still.
I'm always gonna pick against him.
I know you. So that means you have a bias against him. You just
his style is ugly and I don't like it.
Okay, so let's just ask the panel. We're gonna ask, who did you pick in the Klitschko fight when Fury fought Klitschko, and who did you pick in the first Deontay Wilder when Fury fought Deontay Wilder? Fight Doctor, what was your 2 picks in those fights?
So the first, so I picked Fury over Klitschko, and
Okay,
that's fair. I picked Wilder over Fury in the first fight, but I thought the fight would be close.
Okay, Drew, what were your picks against?
Well, I made money on Fury against Klitschko. I picked Fury to beat him,
Okay.
and in the Wilder fight, I picked Fury. I picked Fury to win all 3 fights.
Okay, Drew, who did you pick?
Who?
I mean, not Drew. I mean, Troy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Drew.
Well, once I heard the fight was announced, I picked Klitschko. You know, I picked him, and then in the first Wilder fight, I picked Wilder because the dude was coming off the couch, and I thought, well, this is just a cherry pick. Whoops.
Okay. So Dan, who did you pick in both those fights?
I picked Klitschko because I thought Fury wasn't quite ready yet. I thought it was too soon for him to take that fight. Because as you point out, Klitschko was a dominating champion for over a decade, and and it was in his backyard, had all the advantages. So I thought, okay, no way Fury's going to overcome that, but he did. And I picked Wilder to win the first fight because yes, Fury was coming off 2 warm-up fights, but I thought it was a little too soon for him to take the Wilder fight.
Okay. So
yeah.
So not to cut you off. So
But
let me ask you, we're going to take Joshua's 2 best wins, right? Klitschko and Andrew Ruiz is in the rematch, right? Who did you pick in the Klitschko Joshua fight? Fight Doctor.
Honestly, I don't remember who I picked going into that fight. I probably lean towards Joshua only because Joshua was on his way up and Klitschko was on his way out.
Who did you pick in the Joshua Ruiz rematch?
I want to say I picked Ruiz.
Okay.
No, I take that back. No. I was leaning Ruiz leading up to the fight, but then after the weigh-in, and I saw the condition that Ruiz was in, I think I switched my pick to Joshua.
So Troy, who did you pick when Joshua fought Klitschko and when he fought Ruiz the second time?
I picked Klitschko, especially when I saw what condition he was in, and I've never seen him fight like that, moving like that, and fight like that. And the whole time I've watched him fight, that's the best I've ever seen the man fight. Actually,
you predicted Klitschko to beat Joshua.
I did. I picked Klitschko to beat Joshua at that point because I thought Joshua was still kind of green. And then when I saw the shake that Klitschko came in, and as the fight went on, I'm like, I've never seen this man be this mobile and fight like that. He's always been the straight up, jab. He's never fought like that. He looked great.
No, but wait a minute. This is before you're describing what he did in the fight.
No. When I first heard the fight, I picked Klitschko because I thought Joshua was too green. Because that was the 15th fight or something, right?
Okay, who did you pick in the Andrew Ruiz rematch with Joshua?
In the rematch, I picked Joshua.
Okay. Dan, what were your 2 picks?
I picked Joshua to beat Klitschko because I was basing it off the fact that Joshua was way more active at the time. And 2, Klitschko was coming off a long layoff, almost 2 years, and he was coming off a loss. So I was like, okay, I was on a little fence about it, but at the same time, I factored that factor in it because I thought that was the main part of the reason I thought Joshua should be the favorite to win, based off activity. Inactivity alone was the key.
So do you see what you just did, Troy? And did you see what you just did, Dan?
What did I do? But be honest.
And I'm going to be honest. You just made my point, Fight Doctor's point, and Drew's point for us.
Congratulations.
Because you know how you did that?
Thanks, man.
You know how you did that? You said by who you picked in the fights, you basically admitted that Fury has his two best wins are better than Joshua's two best wins because you didn't.
Yeah.
You already.
No, I didn't.
You did.
You didn't ask me that question.
No.
That was not the question.
No. Hear me out. By definition, you picked Joshua to beat Ruiz. So
of course I did.
Okay, and you picked Klitschko, but still, that's still you admitted basically that Fury's two wins that he had, or the draw and the win he had, you didn't pick him to win. So Fury didn't lose, right? He didn't lose, right? And he had two great performances in those both those fights.
No, he did not.
Judging by the results.
Wait, hold up. Troy, I'm not, you know me, I'm not a big Tyson Fury fan, but you got to give credit when credit's due. So you're telling me his wins over Klitschko and the Wilder second fight weren't great wins?
His wins over who?
The Klitschko and the Wilder, the second Wilder fight, Wilder fight particularly.
Okay, in the second Wilder fight, that was a very good fight. That I enjoyed. The Klitschko
great win.
fight,
okay.
I will never tell you I'm going to enjoy that fight.
Well, no, hold up. I'm not asking if you enjoyed the fight or not. I'm asking you, weren't there those two great wins? Yes or no?
Well, you know, they were great for his career, sure. Yeah.
Oh, so are there great wins? Yes or no?
I just answered your question. I said they were great for his career, so I guess the answer would be yes.
Are they great?
So, to Beeb's point, those two wins are greater than Joshua's two great wins.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I can
cut out.
If you're saying that Fury won when you didn't expect him to win, and Joshua won when you expect. So the two biggest fights you expected Joshua to win them, or at least one.
No, I did not. You asked me about Klitschko. I said Klitschko was going to win.
I corrected myself. I said you at least thought Joshua was going to win in one of his biggest fights, but you didn't think Fury was going to win in his two biggest fights. Dan didn't think Fury was going to win in his two biggest fights, but he thought Joshua would win in his two biggest fights. So by definition, Fury, his two biggest wins, or at least his one biggest win is better than Joshua's one biggest win.
Listen,
can I just add something?
If you say so, because this is all semantic.
You said so. You said so.
Yeah. Can I add something real quick?
You didn't ask me that question.
You said so.
You didn't ask me that question. I answered the question you asked me.
If you thought Joshua was going to beat Ruiz in the rematch, but you didn't think Fury was going to beat Wilder, and Fury did, then you, by definition, you just made my point for me. The Wilder win.
Congratulations, brother. I'm glad I made your point.
It's not about congratulations. It's about you admitting.
What do you want?
It's about you admitting
what you want, man.
I mean, I'm not asking for congratulations. I'm just asking you to be objective here.
I think that's asking a little bit too much of Mr.
I just said congratulations, man. I'm not denying. Okay,
that's asking too much of you, Mr. Graham. Intellectual honesty.
So let's ask the question again, Troy.
No, I said I agreed with you. I agree with you. Fine.
Okay, so you agree with me. That's fine.
Hallelujah. I agree with you.
But before you didn't agree with me.
So yeah,
I agree that you didn't ask me that question.
I did it. Dan, did I ask him that question in the beginning before? And he said no.
He actually tries saying that Klitschko's win and Ruiz's win was better than Fury's Wilder's at the beginning.
No, I said the Klitschko Joshua win was better than the Fury Klitschko win, because that fight was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
Well, is it because of the fact that it was more action packed?
So the fight was better based on your subjective.
The fight was more entertaining, and no one's going to disagree.
And that's what you pay for. That is what you pay for, entertainment.
No one's going to disagree with that. But
yeah, let me just say this. Let me say this, B, real quickly. I think.
Let me ask you this. Was Hagler versus Leonard a more entertaining fight than Hagler versus Hearns?
Held to the NO.
Okay, but Leonard's still had that's still a great win for Leonard, even though it wasn't the most entertaining fight in a lot of people's opinions. Was it not?
Yeah, so here's the problem, right?
You said it wasn't a good win.
So here's the problem. So here's the problem. Using Mr. Graham's quote unquote logic, the Hagler win over Hearns is a better win than the Leonard win over Hagler.
I never stated anything like that. I never did.
You had your chance. You had your chance to talk. Now, quiet down your verbal flatulence.
No.
Okay. And let someone else.
Here we go. The beat between y'all two again, man.
Yeah, go ahead and do what you do, but don't do that, okay?
Don't
we
do
all
what?
men up
Don't
here, so
okay, guys, calm down now. Calm down, guys. Calm down.
Yeah. So using your logic, Hagler's win over Hearns is a better win than Leonard's win over Hagler. Yes, that's what you're saying. Because
I never stated anything like that.
You're sitting here making the point that somehow Joshua beating Klitschko is a better win than Fury beating Klitschko, which makes absolutely positively no sense. It only makes sense to someone who's completely fucking brain dead. Okay, that's what makes sense to.
Okay.
Who had more difficulty with Klitschko? Fury.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this.
Who had more difficulty with Klitschko?
Obviously, Fury? Joshua did. I'm going to say that, right? I'm going to say that, but let me say this then, right? You cannot tell me not to have an opinion. Because this shows all these podcasts is about opinions.
Are like assholes.
I simply gave you my opinion.
Opinions are like assholes.
And you should know about being an asshole, okay? But like I stated,
I'm talking to one right now, so I know
this is all about having an opinion. I simply gave you my opinion, sir.
But Troy, you're contradicting your opinion.
How did I contradict my opinion, sir?
Who had more difficulty with Klitschko?
I just said Joshua did. I just said that.
I have a better question.
So who won more impressively?
Joshua did.
I have a better question.
How did you manage?
He stopped him. He stopped him.
Who had more difficulty? Who won more?
Joshua did.
Okay. So
didn't Klitschko drop Joshua?
Yes, he did. But Joshua finished him. End of discussion.
But you don't make any sense. You make no sense. I mean, seriously, dude. I mean, look, listen.
Joshua was down on one of the cards before he stopped him.
And he made a great comeback and knocked the man out. The fight was a great fight. I enjoyed the fight. I didn't enjoy the Fury fight against Klitschko.
Did Fury have to make a comeback in that fight at any point?
You don't make a comeback fight in the way he fought. So no, he won that fight in his old ugly style. I didn't like it, but the fight with Joshua was much more entertaining to become one entertainment.
As ugly as it was it dominating?
No.
So
no.
Winning a fight 9 rounds to 3 is not a domination.
I didn't see any dominating, and I just saw ugly.
It was an ugly domination. Genius.
Ugly. What you determine to be ugly is completely subjective, and honestly, it means nothing to the conversation because last I checked, your name is not Emmanuel Stewart. So what you determine to be ugly when you're watching a boxing fight
and your name
means
is not Emmanuel
less than
Stewart
nothing. Okay, because you have room temperature IQ. You don't know shit about boxing. Never did, never will. Trust.
Shout out to CN. He said Fury beat a younger, undefeated Vlad, though. Agreed. I mean, it's again, context is key, bro.
You know what? I think you guys need to hug it out.
No, let me say this. I simply gave my opinion. If you don't like my opinion, then you don't like my opinion. Telling me I'm an asshole and all that other stuff and trying to
I didn't tell you were an asshole, but if the shoe fits,
y'all never patched up y'all beat, did y'all?
I simply said, no, hold on. I'm actually talking to the host of the show. I'm talking to the host of the show. I'm being a gentleman. I'm talking to the host of the show.
Troy, let me just ask.
Is it cool for me to have my own opinion?
You can, but
thank you very much, sir.
It's cool for you to wear your high heels. But go right ahead.
But you're contradicting your opinion.
How am I contradicting it, sir? Tell me.
So first of all, if I give 2 people a task, right, and one person does the task easily, right, and another person struggles with the task, they both get it done, but one person does it easily and one person struggles with the task. I have a choice to hire either person. Am I going to hire the person who struggled with the task, or am I going to hire the person who did the task much easier?
You're going to hire the person that actually did the task better.
So by definition,
it would be easy.
Fury handled Klitschko a lot easier than Joshua did.
If in a very ugly fight, sure, we'll just agree. We'll just agree on that. Fine.
Say I hire 2 secretaries. One is gorgeous, and the other is not so gorgeous. But the one that's gorgeous sucks at her job. The one that's not gorgeous.
Then you hire the one that does the job better.
Okay. You're making my points for me.
I never disagree with you about the. Listen, you were picking at straws. I didn't enjoy the fight. That's all I'm saying. I enjoyed the fight when Joshua fought Klitschko. I'm never going to agree with you that the Fury fight is enjoyable. I'm not going to agree with you on that.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, once again, we have all the evidence in the world that Mr. Graham Cracker does not know shit about boxing. Okay?
Leave him be, brother. You know, leave him be, brother.
You don't know shit about boxing. Why are you even
leave him be, brother? You know, he's been
because every time you
leave
open
him be,
your
brother.
mouth,
You know, he's been doing this thing for years. So, you know, leave him be.
And you contradict yourself every opportunity that's presented to you. Yeah. Okay, and I think everyone who's listening has come to that conclusion. So please indulge yourself. The only thing you do is prove the point that you don't know shit about boxing and never will.
Joe, I mean, I'm speaking to you, right? The host of the show. I'm going to say that we're going to agree to disagree and be real civil and just leave it at that. Is that cool with you?
Oh, yeah. I just gotta. I have to know.
Thank you.
I have to know what we're disagreeing on, though. What do we disagree?
Actually, let's just say we're not disagreeing on nothing. Let's just say that we agree and leave it at that, and we'll just be civil. I'm not going to deal with no individual that's going to step out of character and get all rah. I'm going to talk to you because you're being civil.
I guess my point is this. I think it's pretty much irrefutable that the Klitschko-Joshua fight was more entertaining. 9 out of 10 people, probably 10 out of 10 people, are going to say that fight was more entertaining than Fury's fight against Klitschko. But when you look at entertaining and then you look at results, right? Now, by definition, yeah, he knocked him out. So by knocking someone out, is that more by knocking someone out in a fight that you're behind in on one of the judges' scores cards and even on the other, is that more impressive than winning a 12-round decision and dominate and like only losing 2 or 3 rounds?
Yes.
Yo, B, you forgot to mention AJ almost got knocked out in that fight too.
Yeah, and you were close to getting stopped in that fight too?
Yes, it is more impressive because what you're doing, okay, let's take Floyd Mayweather and let's take Mike Tyson, right? Mm-hmm. Floyd wins on points. Mike Tyson was a knockout guy. Who do you think people would enjoy more?
Well, hold on. Let me respond to that. Let me respond to that respectfully. Hold up. Let me respond to that respectfully. Troy, I get your point there, but you have to put this in proper context. Mike Tyson, when he was knocking out guys, it wasn't close. He was destroying guys within 1 round, 2 rounds, in some cases 30 seconds against guys like Michael Spinks. Yeah, I can get your argument there, but we're talking about a contest where Joshua went life or death against a guy who was out of the ring for almost 18 months and coming off a loss.
1 year, a year and a half only.
Yeah, 18 months.
For a year and a half.
18 months.
A year, 18. We're going to debate whether a year and a half is 18 months now?
Go ahead, sir.
It's 18 months. That's the exact number.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir, because you're being civil. So let's just get just.
Yeah. It is 18 months is in 1 year and a half, but I digress. But anyhow, the point is that he went life or death against this guy and nearly got stopped. But yeah, he came through and got the knockout win. That was very emphatic. But what Fury did, he neutralized and dismantled Klitschko. Yes, it was an ugly fight to watch, but he did do that. So if you put that in proper context, that's far more impressive because he fought a Klitschko that was the top of his game, who was reigning at the heavyweight division for years, and it was an active champion, the lineal champion. So
I'm gonna agree with you. Okay.
Okay.
How about that?
Fair enough.
I'll be civil and say that I agree with you. Is that cool?
Your argument,
that's cool, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Your argument falls on his face. Flat on his face.
Let me just say this real quick. You don't have to like how to do fights, but you gotta at least respect the dudes.
Being effective at what you do isn't the same as being entertaining. That's just the way it is.
Well, if
I agree with you,
if you use Mr. Graham Cracker's logic, then I think you have to make Arturo Gatti replace Sugar Ray Robinson with Arturo Gatti as the pound-for-pound greatest fighter who ever lived, using Mr. Graham Cracker's logic. Do you agree, Mr. Graham Cracker?
Okay, well,
would you rate?
I'm going to talk to the host again. I'm going to talk to you, sir. Right? I'm going to talk to you, sir, the host of the show, right, Joe? Because you're a civil guy, and we're all being gentlemen up here. All I'm simply saying is fine for us to disagree, man. And
Answer the
I
question.
understand your
Who do
points.
you rate
And
higher?
listen,
the question. Who do you rate
I'm talking
higher?
to the host of the show now.
Okay,
I'm
and I'm
talking to the
talking
host of
to
the show.
you. Who
I'm
do
talking
you
to the
rate
host of the
higher?
show, right,
Sugar
sir?
Ray Robinson
Sir.
or Arturo Gatti? That's the question.
I'm talking
Who do you
to.
rate higher?
Okay, sir. I'm going to talk to the host of the show, and I'm going to say that we are just gonna. I understand your points, and I see them clearly. I can't stand ugly fights, and I'm just gonna stand on that, brother. Yeah, I see your point clearly. I see it clearly, and we agree. Let's just say we agree, and we'll just leave it at that. Is that cool?
That's fine. But let me ask you this: did you enjoy the Fury Wilder trilogy? Did you enjoy those fights?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anytime Wilder loses, I enjoy it. Yeah.
Did you enjoy Fury versus Dillian White? Did you think that was a good fight?
Hell no, because Dillian lost.
But from an entertainment standpoint, did you think Fury was entertaining in that fight?
Again, hell no, because my man lost. But yeah. He looked good in that fight.
So you don't like Fury's style, but here's my answer to that. Fury doesn't have just one style. Did you enjoy Fury versus Steve Cunningham? That was another entertaining fight.
No.
You didn't enjoy that?
No, because he won in the cheapest of way to do the 6'8", whatever it is. He won in the cheapest of way by leaning on the man. He didn't outbox him. He leaned on him. That's cheap.
But was it entertaining watching Steve Cunningham?
He was entertaining when he got dropped. That was entertaining.
Well, to be fair, he did land some big shots at Cunningham before the stoppage, though. I'll give him that. He did.
Yeah. After he leaned on him and tired him out.
Overall,
True. I agree there.
Overall, was that an entertaining fight?
It was an entertaining fight. It was
okay. I mean, it was watchable. I mean, in my opinion,
on a scale of 1 to 10, could we give it maybe a 6.5, 7?
4.5.
All right. So basically, again, you looked at one fight that you didn't like, which most people didn't.
I looked at quite a few fights, not just one.
Well, name another fight in which you did not like how Tyson Fury performed from an aspect.
I just said Steve Cunningham and Klitschko. Those are the two fights.
You didn't think that Steve Cunningham fight had action packed. You saw Fury get knocked down. You saw Steve Cunningham win rounds. Cunningham.
Yeah. Okay. Well, to Troy's point, he didn't say it wasn't entertaining. He just didn't like the way Fury used the legal tactics to win that fight.
Okay, but that wasn't. Yeah. That's pretty much what I'm saying. Now, the whole leaning thing is actually legal. I just don't like that somebody that big won in that cheap way.
Not just that. He put the. Here's the thing that people don't call out, and I wish Eddie Khan, God rest his soul, would have called him out because he was a referee of that fight that night. Fury, he pinned Cunningham to the ropes in that round when he knocked him out. Right? You see, he used his left forearm to pin Cunningham and pretty much paralyzed him where he couldn't move, and then he threw that cross and knocked him out.
Sort of like what Floyd Mayweather did his whole career, and Bernard Hopkins does too.
Yeah. Those are illegal tactics. I don't like that. Yeah, if I'm going to call those guys out for doing that, Fury needs to be called out for that too.
Andre Ward did it at times as well. But go ahead.
Yeah, they all did, and we all called them out for it. At least I did. But I'm not, the point is that it is what it is.
Rocky Marciano did it as well.
Yeah, all fighters do it, Beeb. I'm not going to single out Fury here, but the point is that, when a foul's a foul, you need to call it. That's the way it is. And you have to get away with a foul to win that fight. That's the honest truth.
Okay, my bad, guys. Just got back. I had to get some crackers.
Yeah. But anyhow, like I said, though, guys, I know I like this debate. It's healthy. It is, it is spirited at points, but at the end of the day, I can't wait till we're 4 weeks out. I hope Fury makes it. I hope he doesn't pull out a fight with Usyk. And I'm telling you guys this, come February 17th, we're going to have a rude awakening. I don't see how Tyson Fury wins that fight at this point. I don't see it.
We're gonna end it on that because I gotta some things to do. Troy, I want to say it's nice to hear from you again, man. I know you had some issues before, and I'm glad you're doing. It seems like you're doing well, and I'm glad you're doing well. And I'm glad that you came back on the channel. It's always a pleasure to have you.
It's good seeing him back, man. Good seeing Troy back.
We don't agree on everything, but I've always respected your opinion, and I've always admired you as a person. You're a good guy. I know you and Fight Doctor don't see eye to eye, But it is what it is. What it is. I mean, it's not.
Okay,
need to give
listen,
it a
I
hug.
want to say something if you don't mind. But
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead and say. Go ahead and
Okay,
say.
listen, man.
before I
I'm coming
close.
back today. I'm doing a podcast today at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm going to be interviewing a lady, female coach that's coming up in the world. Her name is Coach Cam. You can check her out on IG, and you'll see her work. And I'm gonna have a conversation with her tonight at 8:00. All right.
All right. Thank you so much, man. I'll tune in, man. I'll tune in.
Thank
guys,
you for that.
No problem.
Say,
Guys,
listen, can I just say something real quick?
Yeah, give some closing thoughts, Fight Doctor. Give some
just real quick. This is a great panel. I love you guys. And I hope that the Sunday after the Fury Usyk fight, we can all meet back and chop it up.
Oh, absolutely.
And whoever picked wrong is gonna have to eat plenty of crow.
Yeah, we're gonna do.
I will. I'll be here to eat my crow.
I'll be here
if that happens.
I'm doing a morning after show. I will guarantee that.
I'll be here.
I will be celebrating Fury's victory.
Yeah, I hope you have that same energy with Usyk, schools them and dismantle them.
And listen, I'll tell you what. I tell you what. On that morning after show, we can celebrate Tyson Fury's victory as well as Mr. Graham's coming out party. So how's that sound?
Well, I'll tell you what, Fight Doctor. I'm glad you guys have this whole faith in Tyson Fury, because I'm telling you right now, you're gonna be very disappointed after February 17th. And I'll be the one who would come back on here. I'll be the one that said, "I told you so. I told all of you so what was going to happen," and that's what's going to happen in 4 weeks.
If Fury
exactly,
loses,
but you see my name, right? You see my name. It says Mr. Graham the Great. That's all I have to say.
I ought to say Mr. Graham the fraud.
Philly.
Oh, come on, y'all. Come on, Fight Doctor. Come on, man.
All right, Philly, you got any last words before I close this one out?
Yeah, can you two just hug it out for Christ's sake? Like, come on, guys. And tell you the truth, I don't even like graham crackers that much. I just ate.
What are you talking about? You two? Okay, sir. Why are you saying you two? I didn't engage him, did I?
No, but you argued with him also. Just hug it out for Christ's sake. God damn.
I didn't engage the man, so I don't have any.
It doesn't matter.
It's so funny how the title of this was Joshua versus Ngannou was the right fight at the right time. It's a no-brainer, and this thing devolved into a fucking Fury Usyk debate. But I don't care. I love it, man. This is what we do here, bro.
Well, be fair, ain't much too much to discuss on the AJ Ngannou fight, so you know that.
Joshua's going to knock him out, by the way.
Exactly. That's all it is. That's all it needs to be said. It's a circus fight.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think it's going to be a 12. I think it's going to be a 10-round unanimous decision for Joshua.
And he's going to get beat up if it goes 12 rounds.
I'll be honest with you. I won't be surprised if Joshua gets caught and hurt in this fight.
All right. I got to close it out, guys. Thank you so much, and peace and love to everybody out there in the universe.
All right. Peace, man.
Bless up yourself and come over to the Troy Graham Experience in 6 hours.
I will be there, my friend.